Tonight's meeting of the Metropolitan Nashville and Davidson County Council is coming to you live from the council chambers and is a public affairs presentation of the Metro Nashville Network. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pat Nolan, your announcer for this program. Tonight, the 15th Metropolitan Council holds its fifth business meeting of this new term. The meeting has a 16-page agenda. About 4 pages of those are zoning bills on public hearing. 3 pages are on for first reading bills, 2 pages of resolutions, along with 3 pages of second reading bills and about 2 pages of third reading ordinances. There is also more than a page at the very beginning of the council night on the agenda that's of elections and appointments and confirmations to various city boards and commissions for the council to consider. Perhaps the most important item on the agenda before the council tonight is the city's first effort to begin to pull Metro out of its deep financial troubles and try to avoid a state takeover. Before the council is a multi-year plan to increase water sewer rates in Nashville. The bill is BL 2019-45, is an ordinance on third and final reading. It's been almost a decade since water sewer rates were last increased in Nashville. The state of Tennessee has become quite concerned about that. State Comptroller Justin Wilson came to these council chambers just a couple of weeks ago and demanded immediate action by the end of the year to raise water sewer rates because the city's water sewer department, he said, was in so much red, it's going down the drain. The measure was approved on a unanimous vote on second reading a couple of weeks ago. Final approval tonight seems quite likely. At least one member of the council, at-large member Steve Glover, wants to raise those rates, at least in the first couple of years, by 5% more than what's in the bill. We'll see if that's offered tonight on the council as an amendment. They are offering bills on amendment on third reading tonight. That is somewhat rare. Councilman Glover's amendment was defeated in the Budget and Finance Committee yesterday on a 6-3 vote. Beyond that, the bill outlines rate hikes each of the next several years from 3 to 4% from 2020 to 2024, with further rates of 2 to 3% in the years going forward after that, depending on the rise in the federal consumer price index. After these bills pass, there will be no future role for the Metro Council to play in raising water sewer rates in the years beyond 2024. Water sewer is one of several areas where the Metro wants to get its financial affairs in order or face a takeover. Such a move, while it's somewhat rare, is allowed under state law. New Finance Director Kevin Crumbo is expected to come to the council next week on December 11th to outline a plan to address the $40 million deficit in the city's current operating budget. He will perhaps speak to Metro's other financial problems going forward. There are several other ordinances before the council tonight on second and third readings to speak to the water sewer issue and also other Metro money issues. One requires the council to receive directly from the administration any financial information that is critical of the city that comes down from the state. That bill is on third reading. Its number is BL 219-47. Another bill on second reading tonight mandates the council receive more complete property appraisals for real property that Metro purchases, owns, or leases, or seeks to sell or otherwise dispose. The appraisal number bill for that is 2019-42. Another second reading bill seeks to establish more ongoing council oversight over the water and sewer department. It would require regular information from that department, including an annual financial report from that agency. It is BL 2019-42. To further show the council's quest for a larger oversight role, there is also a second reading before the council tonight. It's BL 2019-74. Mandates disclosure of cost itemizations for a prior submission of capital expenditures before the council actually approves those expenditures. There's been some current information the council has approved for projects that are ongoing, including the sheriff's headquarters in East Nashville, where the numbers that the council approved and what they actually need to finish the project don't seem to be the same thing, and that may be coming back to the council to be dealt with. Certainly the bill before tonight will help deal with some of that. Another oversight matter that the council is putting in a different matter is under BL 2019-74. It's on second reading. It would require the Metropolitan Social Services Commission to submit an annual plan to the council regarding the Metropolitan government's cold weather response plan for the city's homeless population. This is another item that kind of fell through the cracks this year, this fall. The city was left somewhat embarrassed and scrambling to find a plan and the funds to operate an overflow shelter for the homeless across the city. The council wants to see that plan in advance now in the future. Early on tonight, the council is expected to confirm another non-confirmation of the board of the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency. At the last meeting, it was Dr. Paulette Coleman, the founding chair of Nashville's Organized for Action and Hope Group, as well as the chair of its Affordable Housing Task Force. Tonight, former Metro Mayor Bill Purcell will join her on that board. He will be the first former mayor to serve as a volunteer on a city board after leaving office. Both these appointments allow new Mayor John Cooper to put an early mark on the MDHA board and indicate the changes that he wants and their focuses, particularly for affordable housing on that agency. Other appointments tonight for them to also take a look at as well. We'll see what else they're going to do. There's things to move $18 million in money that was coming up to be considered for moving from the pedestrian bridge was going to be built down in the Sobro area to use it for various water and sewer projects and other developments and drainage projects across the county. It looks like the council is just about ready to come into session. Let's go now to Vice Mayor Jim Subin. He's ready to gavel tonight's meeting to order shortly.
You have it logged in here.
Oh, we'll have to wait for somebody to pass through before you go through. So when I saw this, I said, what does this mean? Yeah, you got all this. Yeah, it did say so. You got it one. You're not gonna get nobody agree to that because my street now is mostly duplexes, rentals. Maybe 2 or 3 people only want to live in. Okay. Okay, sure.
So will the meeting please come to order? Welcome to the Metro Council. Today is Tuesday, December the 3rd, 2019. Will all members of the council as well as the public please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation this evening will be offered by Russ King of the Donaldson Church of Christ, a guest of Council Member Steve Glover. Mr. King.
I want to thank you for your service to our community. You make decisions that impact everybody in this area, from those of us in nice houses to those without a place to sleep. So God give you wisdom and compassion. Thank you for your service. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for today, for all you have done. You have blessed us greatly. There are so many people that desire to move to this area. It speaks highly of our people and our leaders. Lord, we pray for your wisdom. I pray that you will give our council members wisdom to know what to do and how to do it, compassion for all people, regardless of their status in life. And also, Father, we pray that we will live peaceful lives. And in those times when we do disagree, as we inevitably will, may we do so with respect and kindness and to treat other people like we want to be treated. Lord, I thank you for the men and women of this council and all of our leaders, and pray your blessing on them to be wise, compassionate people of strength, and that every person will be blessed by the decisions made in this room. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, y'all may be seated. Councilmember Larry Hager, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. This is Girl Scout Troop 1610. They meet at DuPont Hadley Middle School in District 11, and their troop leader is Candy Wilson. If you get a chance, read the letter that's attached to this announcement. But these young ladies are in a project where they're undertaking to help homeless people in the community. So I applaud them for that type of project and other projects that they do for the community. And I want to congratulate them for doing a great job of opening the council meeting tonight. And I do have a flag for them. These flags are one of the flags that fly at the Field of Honor at the Hermitage, home of Andrew Jackson. Always collect quite a few of these, and they fly over the Hermitage. I'd like to present that to them at this time. Thank you.
So Councilmember Hager is leading the pack of Girl Scouts out. I understand. There we go. All right, without objection, we will suspend the calling of the roll and ask the clerk to record the names of those members present throughout the meeting. Is there a motion for adoption of the minutes from November 19, 2019? It's been properly seconded. Without objection, the minutes of the meeting will stand approved as written. Madam Clerk, any messages from the mayor?
No, Mr. Vice Mayor, no messages from the mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, there's several announcements that we need to go over. If you have any questions, please let me know. This Friday, December the 6th at 6 p.m. on the public square is the lighting of the Christmas tree, Metro's Christmas tree. The public is invited. Annual Christmas parade will be downtown this Saturday starting at 8:30 a.m. Council members are strongly encouraged to attend next week's special budget meeting, which is Wednesday, December the 11th at 2019 at 4:30 p.m. in this chamber, where we will hear from Metro Budget Director Kevin Crumbo on matters concerning, obviously, the Metropolitan budget. I will also say that on behalf of the council, I had asked council members Tom Cash and Joy Stiles to see if they could come up with an event for council members to do together in an effort to help our community. I know they're working on it, so keep an eye out in your emails for something that we can do together as a body. There's certainly many great causes out there, and I know that this council wants to be a part of that. Another announcement, I have appointed council members Bob Mendez and Gloria Hauser to fill vacancies on the Blue Ribbon Commission. That was done in an appropriations bill last year. Councilmember Mendez has no choice because he is the budget chair, and Gloria Hausler seemed interested in doing it. So those two, along with myself, will be serving on the Blue Ribbon Commission. I believe there's a meeting coming up on the Blue Ribbon Commission. That commission, for those of you who don't know, are designed to look at the way Metro does certain things from a financial aspect to see if it can generate savings in the budget. Also would like tonight to appoint Councilmember Berkeley Allen to fill a seat on the Greenways Commission. One last item. Obviously, we have a special committee working on how to address the fact that teachers have to pay out of pocket for school supplies. We know that we're looking at it. We know the school board's looking at it. We know the mayor's office is looking at it. The Tennessean had come up with a program, however, during this holiday season about adopting a teacher to help them in terms of certain aspects of items that they need in the classroom. Again, everyone's working on this concept, trying to figure out how to make sure this works to get more pay for teachers. I know people are very concerned about that and concerned about the idea of teachers paying out of pocket for school supplies. But if you're interested in what the Tennessean is doing, you can certainly go to their website. It's called Adopt a Teacher, and you can certainly adopt a teacher and find out what items they may need in the classroom. So, having said all that, any questions regarding any of those announcements? All right, so we are now ready to go on to elections and confirmations. Now, I will tell you this. At the last meeting of the council, we took nominations from the floor to fill a vacancy on the Industrial Development Board. Pursuant to Rule 43 of our rules, this body fills that vacancy. Unless there's any objection, I'd like to pull that up first so we can go ahead and take that matter up before we get to the rest of the elections and confirmations. Any problems with taking that matter up first, because we will have to vote on that on the board? All right, seeing no objection, I will tell you that there were 4 nominations that were accepted from the floor at the last meeting. Those 4 individuals were Andy Botka, Winnie Forrester, Chris Murphy, and Jeff Wilson. So I'm going to go to Councilmember Rosenberg for a report in terms of their qualifications, whether the 4 met the qualifications to be considered tonight. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Both Ms. Forrester and Mr. Botka came before the Rules Committee, and we found them both qualified by a 6-0 vote. Mr. Murphy and Mr. Wilson both withdrew the nominations.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rosenberg. So we will now be voting pursuant to Rule 43 on the nominees. Again, we only have 2. Pursuant to Rule 43, we do not accept speeches from the floor on the 2 candidates, so we will be voting on those 2 individuals tonight. Again, there's only 2, Mr. Andy Botka and Ms. Winnie Forrester. Any questions before we take a vote on filling the 1 seat on the Industrial Development Board? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, are you ready with the names? Okay, so we can do this by machine. Any questions again before we vote? All right, Madam Clerk, open up the machines. All right, I think everybody's vote is in. Madam Clerk, close the machines, take the vote.
17 votes cast for Mr. Botka, 22 votes cast for Ms. Forrester.
All right, so having received 22 votes, Ms. Forrester, you are elected as the new member of the Industrial Development Board. Ms. Forrester, where are you? There you go. If you will stand up so you can be recognized. All right, so on we go to the rest of elections and confirmations. Is there a report from the Rules Committee? Councilmember Rosenberg, you've got it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our first, the Community Corrections Advisory Board, the reappointment of Mr. J. Michael Engel for a term expiring August 31st, 2021. The reappointment of Mr. Benjamin Hubbard for a term expiring the same. Reappointment of Ms. Alicia Overby for a term expiring the same. Mr. Hubbard was withdrawn, and the Rules Committee voted 6-0 in favor of approving Mr. Engel and Ms. Overby, and I move approval of those two reappointments.
All right, so I have a motion to approve reappointment of Mr. Mike Engel and Ms. Alicia Overby for the Community Corrections Advisory Board. It's a proper motion, proper second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Electrical Examiners and Appeals Board, we had the reappointment of Mr. Ira Settles and Ms. Pamela Wyatt for a term expiring October 19th, 2023. We voted to approve, 6 in favor, none against, and I move approval.
Okay, got a motion to approve Mr. Ira Settles and Ms. Pamela Wyatt, Electrical Examiners and Appeals Board, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Metropolitan Action Commission, we had the appointment of Ms. Berthina Nabah McKinney for a term expiring February 2nd, 2020, filling the unexpired term of Councilmember Zulfat Suara. We voted to approve, 6 in favor, none against, and I move approval.
Got a motion to approve Ms. Berthina Nabah McKinney for an appointment on the Metropolitan Action Commission. Properly moved, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency, we had the appointment of the Honorable William Purcell for a term expiring November 5th, 2024. Rules Committee voted to approve Mayor Purcell, 6 in favor, none against, and I move approval.
So I got a motion to approve Mayor Purcell for a term on the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency. Properly moved, properly second. Any discussion? So I will tell you that I heard through the grapevine tonight that this has never happened before. This is an historic measure that we have never appointed a former mayor to a board or commission. Are we sure about that? That is correct. So having said that, are there any questions? Nobody's willing to take that chance, are they? The answer is no. And I also would tell you that he has a number of graduate students here in the back, so they are watching very carefully how we proceed on this vote. Seeing nobody in the queue, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right. Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized on the Housing Trust Fund Commission.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the Metropolitan House Trust Fund Commission, we have the reappointment of Ms. Kaki Friskus Warren for a term expiring September 17th, 2024. Voted to approve, 6 in favor, none against.
All right, got a motion to approve Ms. Kaki Friskus Warren, term on the Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission. Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Public Records Commission, we had the reappointment of Judge Steve Dozier and the reappointment of Ms. Sue Cooper, both for a term expiring August 31st, 2023. We also had the appointment of Councilmember Tanya Hancock for a term expiring August 31st, 2023. On all of them, the Rules Committee voted 7 in favor, none against, and I move approval of all 3.
So I got a motion to approve all 3, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Sexually Oriented Business Licensing Board, we had the appointment of Dr. Ashley Wood for a term expiring October 7th, 2021. The Rules Committee voted to approve, 7 in favor, none against, and I move approval.
Got a motion to approve Dr. Ashley Wood, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Sports Authority, we had the appointment of the Honorable Frank Harrison for a term expiring August 19th, 2023, filling the unexpired term of Mr. Chuck Merriweather. Rules Committee voted 7 in favor, none against for approval, and I move approval.
Got a motion to approve Mr. Frank Harrison for the Sports Authority, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Councilmember Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the Transportation Licensing Commission, home of scooters, hot tubs, and pedicabs, we had the reappointment of Mr. Kerry Rogers for a term expiring October 20th, 2023. Rules Committee voted 7 in favor, none against to reappoint, and I move approval.
Got a motion to approve Mr. Kerry Rogers for the Transportation Licensing Commission. Proper motion, proper second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. So Councilmember Rosenberg, we'll hold on the rules for just a minute. Let's get these individuals recognized. We have just appointed a series of people, and if you will stand when I call your name, for the Community Corrections Advisory Board, Mr. J. Michael Engel. And well, you can do that separately or hold it to the end. Mike may have asked for appropriate applause for himself. Ms. Alicia Overby, also for the Community Corrections Advisory Board. Thank you. Electoral Examiners and Appeals Board, Mr. Ira Settles and Ms. Pamela Wyatt. All right, they were smart and got out of here. We've already recognized Industrial Development Board for the Metropolitan Action Commission, Ms. Berthina Nabah McKinney. For the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency, former Mayor, the Honorable Bill Purcell. I don't think any of your students applauded for you in the back, and you can note that. All right. Metropolitan Housing Trust Fund Commission, Ms. Khaki Friskus Warren. For the Public Records Commission, Judge Steve Dozier, Councilmember Tanya Hancock, and Ms. Sue Cooper. For the Sexually Oriented Business Licensing Board, Dr. Ashley Wood. She is in the back. Sports Authority, Mr. Frank Harrison. There's Mr. Harrison. Transportation Licensing Commission, Mr. Kerry Rogers. So now, if you all would stand again all together. Everybody who I just named, please stand and let us properly recognize you.
I got her.
Okay, 76. Okay, I got it. Thank you. So thank you all for agreeing to serve Metro, and you all are welcome to stay. But I don't see anybody paying attention to me. I think everybody's going to leave.
She's leaving the building.
See, that's a friend right there.
All right, we are now ready to proceed. The last part of elections and confirmations is We are ready now for discussion of the adoption of proposed rules for the 2019-2023 council term. Councilmember Rosenberg, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the adoption of the proposed rules for 19 through 23 council term, the Rules Committee voted at our prior meeting after 3 special meetings that involved the Rules Committee, the council office, our legal team, the clerk's office, and a lot of other council members, 8 in favor, none against of the proposed rules, and I move approval.
All right, so I got a motion to approve, properly seconded. I know that these have been discussed, and I know that they were also sent out to all council members. Is there any discussion regarding the adoption of the permanent rules for the Metropolitan Council? Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized. As soon as I can get over there. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. President. The only thing I'll say is I think, obviously, this committee has done good work. I know an executive committee starting last term started to recommend changes to committees. I will say, I think, we now have effectively 2 committee structures. There is the standing committee structure and then the special committees, which I think in some ways are a recognition that our standing committee structure is out of date. I think many of us worked through the previous term starting to recognize ways that council committees could be in some ways modernized to reflect the changing priorities, challenges, and opportunities of the city of Nashville. And I'm a little bit disappointed that this set of rule changes does not speak to that. I think, I hope that it is work that gets done this term to reconsider this, and unfortunately after tonight it will require an unusual number of votes. But I know there have been other council members who have submitted proposed recommendations to the idea of changing committees and realigning things, and I think that's work that should continue. So I hope that our passage of these rules tonight doesn't keep us locked into a committee structure for this entire term that we already knew was growing anachronistic after the previous term. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilmember O'Connell. I can respond, and I can also go back to Councilmember Rosenberg for a response. We are aware of those issues. Obviously, we have, if you look at the rules, we had a certain number of days in order to get a permanent set of rules adopted for this council. But there are a lot of very good ideas pending or floating around at this point about kind of a restructuring of the council. There are certain things that work very, very well and some things that don't work. And Councilmember Rosenberg, as chair of the Rules Committee, and I have had that type of discussion. I think this is a continuing set of questions that have to be looked at and addressed. And so I appreciate your point, and I don't think, I think things are going to continue to be discussed by the Rules Committee. Councilmember Rosenberg, any other comments? Okay. Any other comments before we vote on the permanent rules for this council term? Seeing none, we have a proper motion in front of us to adopt the rules. There's a proper second. Any other discussion? Seeing nobody else in the queue, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember Rosenberg and the Rules Committee for their work. I appreciate it. And Councilmember O'Connell, we'll keep working through these rules as we go through this term. All right, so we are now on resolutions on public hearing. And just for the audience's benefit, we have one resolution on public hearing tonight. The way this works is that I will call up the resolution as RS 2019-115, then refer to the sponsor. Unless the sponsor moves to defer the public hearing, sponsor will call for what we call a public hearing, then ask for a show of hands for those who are here in favor, show of hands for those who are here in opposition. If anyone in favor wishes to speak, I will ask you to come forward, introduce yourself, and give us your address, and then you will have 2 minutes in which to speak. Used to be 3 minutes, now it's 2 minutes because of the adoption of the rules. I will then ask if anyone opposed this wish to speak, they will also have 2 minutes. After that process, close the public hearing, refer back to the sponsor, and so we are ready to go. Resolution RS 2019-115 by Councilmember Toombs. This was referred to the Public Safety Committee. Resolution exempting Diverse Enterprise, Inc., located at 3069 Brick Church Pike, from the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a beer permit pursuant to Section 7.08.090E of the Metropolitan Code. Councilmember Toombs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Committee report.
Councilmember Pulley, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Public Safety, Beer, and Regulated Beverages Committee recommended approval 4 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Toombs?
All right, let's open up the public hearing.
All right, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are in support of this measure. Okay, thank you. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Seeing none in opposition, those in favor wish to speak? If so, come on up. And if you would, introduce yourself and give us your address, and you will have 2 minutes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Alexander Kaur. I am the uncle of Shatik Kaur, who is the president of Diverse Enterprise Incorporated. I want to thank you for this opportunity to extend a business permit for a beer permit for her business there at 3069 Bridge Church Pike. My niece is an entrepreneur. She has a building, a wireless telephone company, which is next door to this new lounge. And so what we are working to is really invest in that particular community to really hire from within the community and expand opportunities within that area. So this allows us an additional opportunity to help that community. We plan to put a very rigorous safety plan in place to ensure the safety and well-being of our clients and the community in which we serve.
All right, sir, can you give me your address before you step back?
Oh, I'm sorry. My address is 137 Sterling Oaks Court, Brentwood, Tennessee, 37027.
All right, thank you. Ma'am, you're recognized.
Oh, that's my niece. She's the president of the Diverse Business.
All right. All right, any comments from you? Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right, back to you, Councilmember Toombs. You're recognized. I declare the public hearing closed. There you go.
Move for approval.
All right, Councilmember Toombs moves for approval, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you. We are now on bills on public hearing. The same rules apply in terms of what we just talked about in terms of the resolutions. I'm going to call them up one at a time, refer to the sponsor, and then if the sponsor calls for the public hearing tonight, I'll ask for a show of hands for those who are here in favor and a show of hands of those who are here in opposition. Anybody wishing to speak, either for or against, when it's your turn, I ask you to come forward, introduce yourself, give us your address, and then you'll have 2 minutes in which to speak. And then after that, I'll close the public hearing and refer back to the sponsor. The first bill up on public hearing tonight is BL 2019-32 by Councilmember Bradford. Ordinance amending Chapters 17.04, 17.08, 17.16, and 17.20 of Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code pertaining to an airport, medium, or large commercial service. Councilmember Bradford, you are recognized. There you are.
Thank you. Can I go ahead and get move to open?
All right. So declare the public hearing open. I'd like to see a show of hands of those who are here in support of this measure. All right, thank you. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this measure. Seeing nobody in opposition, those in favor wish to speak. I see some heads shaking no. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Bradford, you're recognized.
Committee reports, please.
We don't have any yet. It's been approved on the Planning Commission. It'll get picked up the next time around. All right? So back to you for a motion to approve or
Motion
whatever
to
you want to do. Got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2019-47 by Councilmember Glover. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code by amending Section 17.12.040 to establish minimum setbacks for stadium, arena, and racetrack uses. Councilmember Glover, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So this morning, Director Cooper and myself met with the planning staff, and frankly, you know, while there's several of us returning multiple times and a lot of folks that are brand new on the floor, you know, we're really only a couple of months into this, and I think we had a very good conversation this morning with planning. and some changes need to really take place in this. So I want to apologize publicly that if anyone drove down here to comment on it, I'm going to actually defer indefinitely on this bill right now, simply because I think Director Cooper, along with planning and a couple other departments, are working on language that probably is much more amenable to making it effective. So with that, Vice Mayor, I will ask to do an indefinite deferral, please, sir.
Okay, so the motion is to defer indefinitely, properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. This bill is deferred indefinitely. Bill 2019-58 by Councilmember Parker. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from RS5 to R6A zoning on properties located at 1602, 1604, 1606, 1702, and 1704 Meridian Street, approximately 30 feet northwest of Edith Avenue. It's 1.68 acres. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are in support of this measure. All right, thank you. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this measure. Seeing nobody in opposition, anybody in favor wish to speak? All right, seeing none, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I move for approval.
Got a motion to approve. We're on Bill 2019-58, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The bill is passed on public hearing, second reading. BL 2019-59 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from IWD to MUNA zoning for property located at 1331 Baptist Rural Center Drive, approximately 100 feet southeast of Weekly Avenue. It's 0.18 acres. Councilmember Toombs, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to open up the public hearing.
All right, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of the measure. Thank you. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Seeing nobody in opposition, those in favor wish to speak? No. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Okay, Mr. Vice Mayor, I have a substitute for this bill.
All right, so Councilmember Toombs is going to move the substitute. Properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation of the substitute.
So the substitute takes out a few uses under the originally proposed zoning of MUNA, particularly short-term rentals. It excludes them.
Okay. So the response would be to move the substitute, again, properly seconded. Any discussion on the substitute? Okay, we're voting on the substitute. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Substitute is passed. You're now on your bill as substituted.
Move for approval.
Okay, so the motion is to move for bill as substitute. Proper motion, proper second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. We're now on BL 2019-60 by Councilmember Rutherford. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from AR2A to SP zoning for property located at Pettis Road unnumbered at the northeastern corner of Old Hickory Boulevard and Pettis Road. It's 38.49 acres to permit 143 multifamily residential units. Councilmember Rutherford, you're recognized.
Move to open the public hearing.
So I declare the public hearing open. I'd like to see a show of hands of those who are here in favor of the measure. All right, all back in the corner. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Got people who in opposition as well. So if you're in favor and wish to speak, if you would come forward, come to the microphone, give us your name and address, and you will have 2 minutes in which to speak.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Tiffany Capehart. My address is 2940 Baby Ruth Lane, Unit 5, Antioch 37013.
Okay. And you're ready to go.
I'm ready to go? Okay.
Yep.
So greetings. I'm a land use consultant, and I'm here representing the owners and the developers of the project, the Pettis Road SP. This project is 143 single-family homes, and we just wanted to clarify and emphasize that there are no townhomes, stacked flats, duplexes, or other attached building types in the development. The zoning bill provides the developer the option of implementing the development through horizontal property regime or individual subdivided lots, and uses clarifying language that we have to do detached multifamily in the SP bill. That's required. We have to do detached. This language would require that the final product shall be detached single-family homes. We want to be very clear that we listened to the community early on, and when it was expressed that no multifamily be a part of this development, we had some townhouses in the development that were removed from the proposal. And they were removed from the proposal, and ultimately that's what was approved unanimously by Planning Commission. So as a reminder, the Pettis Road SP, you guys, some of y'all that have been on council for a while have seen this before. It was unanimously approved by the Metro Planning Department back in May of 2019, and it made it through 3 readings with the former council person, Fabian Bedney. We're currently working through questions regarding deed restrictions with the singular community member. And as issues regarding multifamily were brought up, we've been earnestly working with the community and expressing to the council person that as the bill is written today, we cannot do any attached multifamily, and that is not the developer's intention. We're earnestly moving forward and would like to have intentional cooperation from individual community members. And to the extent that further modifications are needed, we're happy to address them prior to the committee. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? All right, seeing none, those in opposition, if you would come forward, name and address, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. I'm here representing the Cane Ridge Community Trust, a new nonprofit corporation focused on the Cane Ridge community. The Cane Ridge Trust is, at this point, advising you that the bill 2019-60 doesn't incorporate the terms and standards that the Cane Ridge community has discussed and has brought before the developer and the council member. We do ask for indefinite deferral so that we can finalize the CC&Rs, the restrictive covenants, and get them in place and get the language of this bill so it says single family instead of multifamily. It's a simple act that we should be able to do. We've worked with the community to craft terms that we expect will offset some of the challenges that increasing the number of families living in this area by a factor of 8 will impact the community. We've identified solutions to issues such as, well, partial solutions to issues like traffic, landscaping, preservation of natural areas, participation in addressing quality of life issues, maintaining and holding on to trees of significant size, as well as working to incorporate a new state-of-the-art homeowners association structure within this development, and hopefully as we move forward. We applaud this developer and any developer that comes to our community and is willing to engage in meaningful and significant discussions with members of the community. The trust has and continues to refine a development process that we think will provide us and your constituents some wonderful options to deal with development as they come before you in the future. I'm sorry I haven't been able to talk to you about them before. We'll look forward to talking with you about them in the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Starnes, can you give us your address before you step away?
Sure. The Cane Ridge Community Trust is at 6688 Nolensville Pike, 37027.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Starnes. Anybody else wishing to speak in opposition? If not, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Rutherford.
Move to defer indefinitely.
All right, so there's a motion to defer indefinitely, properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Yes, I wanted to ask planning because I'm a little confused about this. I know it says single-family homes, and then they're talking about the detachment. I mean, is it one and the same, or can you please clarify Does the SP allow for it, or does it require it to be detached?
Sure. So the SP and the bill as submitted, as you all know, a specific plan is a combination of both the bill that's adopted as well as the plan that is attached to and made part of the bill. The plan as attached shows detached units, detached multifamily units. And the bill also states in the permitted uses that it's permitted to be 143 detached multifamily units, and that would be the only use that's permitted. Whenever a final site plan would come in, we would review it against the bill, both the permitted uses outlined, and we would require that they be detached. We would also be looking for it in conformance with the plan that was attached to make sure that they are consistent. And so the reason that it's called multifamily is that per our zoning code, if you have 3 or more units on a lot, it's considered multifamily. Multifamily can take a whole lot of different forms. It's just about the number of units on the lot. And so, yes, while this is multifamily, it is also required by the bill and the plan to be detached units.
Councilmember Hurt.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I guess my thing is that I do like to see development, and I'm particularly happy to see those who don't always have an opportunity to develop. So I'm not sure why there's necessity for it to be an indefinite deferral, and wondering if one meeting deferral would suffice, or 2 meetings, so the parties can go back together and work something out, because I'd really like to see the community work together and do something that's going to be mutually beneficial.
All right, so the motion before is to defer indefinitely. There's a question about it. Councilmember Rutherford, do you want to respond?
My motion stands. It's a matter of language. We just want to clarify the language, and by deferring indefinitely, we're not trying to prevent the development from going forward. We just want to allow enough time so that both parties can work out the language, and then we can come back and move forward.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can Mr. Cooper just explain what the timing is on indefinite deferral and how quickly it could be brought back if when they're ready to do that?
Mr. Cooper.
Technically, it could be brought back as early as next meeting if the clerk is notified by the sponsor when to put it back on. So it just has to, you have to give a week's notice to get it back on the agenda.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I believe many of us was contacted regarding this zoning matter. If the sponsor can speak to, will there be additional community meetings as it relates to clarity in the language due to changes are being made after the community meeting has already been held? If the sponsor can speak to that. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Rutherford.
There's been a number of community meetings that have already been held, and if the language moves forward on the same page as what the community trust wants and what the developers say they're going to do, there wouldn't really be another need for an additional community meeting after we've already had successive community meetings, because we're not looking to change what the plan is that they're bringing forward. We're just wanting to put the language together right so that there's we can move forward with what they initially proposed. So it's really more of a language issue than it is anything else, and we want to defer until we can get that sorted out between the two parties.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vercher, still recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. If the sponsor can just, I would like to encourage the sponsor, just because some of the concerns as it relates to this zoning, if the sponsor would, once they finalize the language, if he would have another community meeting so that everyone is on the same page as it relates to this matter. If there's no material changes, then I wouldn't know why an indefinite deferral would be warranted. But again, this is the council member's district. Just to bridge community and development, I would encourage the council member, if he would have another council meeting, due to changes are being made after the fact from what the community has already been informed about as it relates to this zoning.
All right, thank you, Councilmember.
Again, many of us have been contacted regarding this zoning legislation.
Okay, Councilmember Rutherford.
I'm not opposed to another community meeting if that's what is necessary going forward, and certainly if the language changes enough to warrant that, then that's what we'll do. But if it's a matter of changing the language to make the bill read as what they say they're going to build, then there wouldn't necessarily be a need for another community meeting.
Okay, thank you. We are on a motion to defer indefinitely. Nobody else is in the queue. The motion is defer indefinitely, properly seconded. We're on the motion to defer indefinitely. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. So the motion to defer indefinitely passes. We are now on BL 2019-61 by Councilmember Toombs. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from R8 to RM15A zoning for properties located at 2127 and 2129 Cliff Drive, approximately 570 feet southeast of Buena Vista Pike. It's .40 acres. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Move to defer the public hearing.
All right, so there's a motion to defer the public hearing until how long?
January.
Till the January public hearing, okay. So the motion is to defer the public hearing until the January public hearing. Properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. So for anyone who might have been here for BL 2019-61, the public hearing has been deferred until the first council meeting in January, which would be, do you know when that meeting is? The January the 7th, all right. BL 2019-62 by Councilmember Parker, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from SPR to R6A zoning for property located at 616 Stockwell Street, approximately 100 feet southeast of Grace Street, or south of Grace Street. It's .17 acres. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of the measure. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Seeing nobody on either side, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
I'd move for approval.
Okay, got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you.
BL 2019-63 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from RS5 to MUNA zoning for properties located at 106 Fern Avenue and Birch Avenue unnumbered, approximately 500 feet west of Brick Church Pike. It's .97 acres. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to open up the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of this measure. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this measure. Seeing nobody on either side, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move the substitute.
Okay, I got a motion to approve a substitute on this bill, properly seconded. Back to you for discussion on the substitute.
Again, this is removing certain uses from the MUNA, particularly STRs.
All right. So you've heard the description of the substitute. It's motion properly seconded. Any discussions on the substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt the substitute. Now you're on your bill as substituted.
Move for approval.
Got a motion to approve the bill as substituted. This is BL 2019-63. Any discussion? It's been properly moved, properly seconded. Any discussion on the measure? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2019-64 by Councilmember Hager. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by applying a contextual overlay district to various properties located south of Saundersville Road, zoned R10. It's 134.06 acres. Councilmember Hager, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move to open the public hearing,
Okay,
please.
declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of this measure. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to this measure. Okay, got one in opposition. Sir, would you like to speak? Okay, if so, if you would come on up to the front, to the microphone. So if you would give us your name and address, and you will have 2 minutes in which to speak.
Well, I want to make sure that I'm speaking on the right one first.
All right, well, let's go back. This is BL 2019-64 by Councilmember Hager, Saundersville Road.
Okay, is this for the property located on Bighorn Drive? Mr. Hager?
So I'm looking at Mr. Hager.
If that's the one he's already got the permit and he's already building, it's already there. I've already had this go through Planning Commission, so it's pending legislation. But if he's the one that's already got the permit where they're building 2 houses on one lot on Bighorn, he's already vested.
And that's the property that we're talking about?
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
And you're vested.
All right, so, but I think let me make sure we've got this right. Are you talking, I think we're on this bill. I think he's here to talk about this particular bill. So what we have to do is figure out whether is he on the right bill?
Well, this is the contextual overlay part of the bill. Then,
All right.
Then the BL, the 67 one goes to the RS10.
So this is for changing the whole Sherwood 4 subdivision over?
That's correct.
Okay, so I think, are you on the right, is that what you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think so, yes,
Okay,
sir.
so we're going to go ahead and let you talk on this bill. So the public hearing is open, and you have got 2 minutes. And I think you gave did you give your name and address?
My name's David Comiskey, and I'm located at 4908 Bighorn Drive.
Okay, you are ready to go. You're recognized.
But this is to change the subdivision over to where all properties can be made to where you can put 2 houses on one property, correct?
Well, hold on. So, Mr. Hager, let's let him finish that. Go ahead. You have a chance to talk. This is your chance to talk and explain why you don't like it.
Okay.
And then we'll go back and open up the meeting for the council members, and then he can explain exactly what's going on. Okay?
We just don't feel like that's good for that neighborhood.
Okay. Any other things you want to say?
No, because I'm sure that I know a whole lot about it. But I just know that there's a lot of people that don't prefer to have those houses in that neighborhood.
Okay. We appreciate you being here. We'll close the public hearing, and then I'm going to let Mr. Hager try to explain kind of what's going on. All right? Thank you. Declare the public hearing closed. Back to you, Councilmember Hager.
What's going on in this neighborhood, if you know where Sherwood Forest is, most of these properties are what we call R10. They're nice brick, single home, family homes. And we had a developer come in on Bighorn Drive, and he decided to tear a nice brick basement home down and put 2 houses on one lot. So we had a big community meeting about this. Probably close to 95 people showed up, and Pat was there with us. And everybody was overwhelmingly, they did not want this in this neighborhood. It's been around since the late 70s. They don't want 2 houses on one lot. So when we discussed it, we said we can have the RS zoning and the contextual overlay, so they wanted both. So that's what this bill does. It puts a contextual overlay on that whole neighborhood, and it also rezones the property to RS10 instead of R10 to prevent the building of 2 houses on one lot. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Hager. What do you want to do with the bill? You want to move for passage?
I'd like to move for passage, please.
All right. So there's a motion to approve this bill on second reading. It still has another reading to go, so it's just on second reading. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion on the measure? All right. Seeing none, we're voting on the bill on second reading. All those in favor of the bill say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The bill, it is BL 2019-64, passes on second reading. All right, we're now on BL 2019-65 by Councilmember Parker. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from RS10 to RM15A zoning for property located at 419 East Trinity Lane, approximately 135 feet east of Overby Road. It's .29 acres. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay. Declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in favor of the measure. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. I see nobody here on either side. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. While no one showed up for the public hearing in opposition, I have had a lot of conversations with my neighbors in the Capitol View area. There's some various concerns around this one. So I want to move this on second and indefinitely defer.
Okay, so let me make sure I've got this right. Do you want to go ahead and pass it on second, or do you want to move to defer indefinitely right now?
I was going to pass it on second, but what would you recommend?
So, yeah, you can do it either way. You can move to pass it on second and then move to defer indefinitely after that.
Just defer indefinitely, then move to defer.
So there's a motion to defer indefinitely. We're on BL 2019-65. That's properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Councilmember Glover, you're recognized.
Just very quickly, Mr. Cooper, and what's the difference? Will he have to come back for another public hearing by doing this, or is the public?
No, the public hearing's
It's now
closed.
closed. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Glover. Okay, so what we've got before you is a motion to defer indefinitely. We are on BL 2019-65. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the deferral motion say aye. Opposed, no. You have deferred indefinitely. Thank you, Councilmember Parker. We're now on BL 2019-68 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from R6 to MULA zoning for properties located at 628 West Trinity Lane and West Trinity Lane unnumbered, approximately 340 feet east of Free Silver Road, .42 acres. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to open up the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in support of the measure. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Seeing nobody on either side, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to move the substitute.
I thought you were going to do that, so I got a motion on the substitute, properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation, which I think is the same as I've heard before.
It is. It's removing certain uses, particularly STRs.
All right, so I got a motion on a substitute. It's properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the substitute say aye. Opposed, no. Substitute's adopted. Back to your bill as substituted.
Move for approval.
Got a motion on the bill as substituted, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt the bill as substituted. Thank you, Council Member. BL 2019-67, back to Council Member Hager. This was disapproved as submitted, approved with a substitute. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from R10 to RS10 zoning for various properties located south of Saundersville Road. It's 124.2 acres. Councilmember Hager, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Open the public hearing, please.
Okay. I declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in support of the measure. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Seeing nobody on either side, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Hager, you're recognized.
Yeah, Mayor, Vice Mayor, I also have a substitute bill, and what this is, Planning Committee came back on this particular subdivision. There were 3 or 4 lots that were bigger lots that they wanted me to exclude, so that's what the substitute bill is. So I'm moving to pass the substitute bill also tonight.
Okay, so I got a motion on the substitute, properly seconded. He just explained it. Any questions on the substitute? Seeing none, we're voting on the substitute. All in favor of the substitute say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You adopt. We're now on your bill as substituted.
Move to pass the bill as substituted,
Okay,
please.
we're on BL 2019-67 as substituted. Any questions? We're passing it with a lot of fireworks behind Councilmember Hager. Any questions? Again, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2019-68 by Councilmember Parker. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from RS5 to SP zoning for properties located at 1705, 1707, and 1709 Luton Street, and 1706, 1802, and 1804 Meridian Street, approximately 200 feet north of Edith Avenue. It's 2.03 acres to permit 64 multifamily residential units. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'd like to open the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in support of the measure. All right, thank you. A show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Okay, we've got people on both sides. Those in favor wish to speak, if you all would come forward. Anybody wishing to speak in favor, if you would come forward. And what I need is, come on up, name and address, and you will have 2 minutes in which to speak.
Okay, thank you. I'm Ben Muskelly with Kimley Horn, representing the applicant, 214 Oceanside Drive.
All right, thank you.
This Grove at Meridian project is an SP. We have vetted this project through the community, through the Highland Heights Small Area Study, through the policy. This is a project that is an urban form that fits the neighborhood in our belief. This is a project that we feel so strongly about. We also feel the planning staff felt strongly about. Recently at the Tennessee American Planning Association, our planning staff suggested this as a precedent project that they thought met the policy. It's internally parked. It forms a new street, Joy Avenue extension, that connects Luton to Meridian and starts to carry out the plan through this. We just feel that this is a great project. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next.
My name is Ben Jordan. My address is 1011 North 5th Street. I'm familiar with this community and this the neighborhood. Highland Heights has recently had a community change in the plan, and it's been very engaged by the Planning Commission, and the planning community has been in great support of this. This project has won awards, and it fits all and has all the bells and whistles for the recent community charrette that was done within the last 2 years, and we just can't be redundant in terms of these policies. It has everything that the community has requested. All of the usual neighbors that would be in opposition are not here today. If they were in opposition, they would be here, and they're in support of it as well. So I ask that you guys support and approve this.
All right, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, if you would, come on up. Need a name, address, and you've got 2 minutes. Anybody else wishing to speak, come on up.
Hi, my name is Myron Dow. I'm the owner of the parcels. I also live at 1709 Luton Street. I participated in the charrette, the land use policy that was requested by the Planning Commission last year. We followed the policy guidelines that were set forth in that land use policy study that was voted in by the Planning Commission in June of last year, 2018. We have full community support. My civil engineer also informed you that our project was presented at the American Planning Association meeting last month, the Tennessee chapter, as a great urban infill project. We made all the new land use policy guidelines that was voted in by the Planning Commission in June of last year. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor? All right, those who are in opposition, if you would come up. And again, anybody wishing to speak in opposition, please come on up. You've got name, address, and 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. My name is Meredith Watson. I live at 1806 Meridian Street, which is right next door to 1804, which is part of the proposed plan. And if you were to drive by or look at the property, there's no way upon looking at it that you could even possibly imagine 64 units and a parking lot fitting on this property. We have an incredible water runoff problem in that neighborhood. Our side, the 1800 side of Meridian, the gradation is a whole lot lower than across the street. We already have nowhere for the water to go, and we can't afford any more pavement without a plan. I'm not aware of that plan. If there is one in place, I'd be happy to hear it. Aside from that, as far as I know, there is not full community support, as I am a member of the community. I live next door to the property, and my particular neighbors are all people who were born in and grew up in their houses, and they are absolutely not in favor of this. So I would just like to express that I feel that it would be really hard for the community to deal with the traffic and the noise pollution and the water problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next.
My name is Tomasa Fisher, and I live at 1705 Meridian Street. I was born there, raised there, and I intend to stay there for as long as I possibly can. And I also have concerns about this new development. I never received any notifications for community meetings until now. This is one of the first ones that I've been able to attend. I just don't feel well informed enough to say that I can stand in support of this. I would really like to have a lot more information before I can say that I can approve of it.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in opposition? Name, address, and you'll have 2 minutes.
How you doing, Mr. President? My name is Alex Gildelatore. I live at 1806 Meridian Street. I just would like to say to everybody that we do not have full community support. I don't know where these gentlemen came up with that the community is all for putting 64 units. When you come down our street, there are beautiful, old, economically challenged homes that are single family all the way down. It's a nice street. And as people move in, it's going to become a better street. But we don't want 64 units coming in because it's going to destroy the tranquility and the homeliness of each home that's down this street. And as has already been previously stated, there is a water issue, but that's just one issue. It's a neighborhood. People love the neighborhood. We don't want people coming in with 64 units to stand tall, 20 feet high, 30 feet high. We don't want that. We want to live in our home, be at peace, and enjoy our neighborhood as it grows to become better. Because as everybody knows, East Trinity and Meridian has been an issue in the past. But things are changing. People are growing up. Things are moving forward in a positive way. We would like to keep our single-family homes so that way everybody can enjoy and raise their children there. We don't want 64 homes with 900 people. We don't want that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in opposition? You need to come on up.
Yes, my name is Brenda Fisher, and I live at 1705 Meridian Street and have been there over 25 years. It is a beautiful community that God gave us, and it is safe, but it's very, very crowded. And I just don't think that the 64 units that's going to come in or any more near the community is going to help it. We need families that are going to be living safe, and that's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else in opposition wishing to speak? Seeing none, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Parker, you're recognized.
All right, well, thank you, Vice Mayor. I do appreciate the applicant's adherence to the Highland Heights community plan. There's a lot to like in this plan, including some new sidewalks, some new connectivity for the area, but I think that it's clear that we probably need to have a community meeting specifically around this proposal for the neighbors there in Highland Heights. You can take a project to the neighborhood association and then you can take it to planning, but there's folks that don't follow those entities, and they don't keep up with their neighborhood association. They don't keep up with planning. So I think that when they do come out and express concern, we need to make room for that. And with that, I would like to move to approve this on second, but defer to January 7th meeting to give us time to have a community meeting.
All right, thank you, council members. So the motion is to pass on second and defer third reading until January the 7th, the first meeting in January.
Yes, sir.
Okay. January 7th. So that's the motion, properly seconded. Any discussions on the motion? Let's make sure we're clear on the motion. Motion is to approve second reading tonight, but defer third reading until January the 7th, which will be our first meeting in January. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, council member.
Thank you.
Bill 2019-69 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from RS 10 to RM 9A, zoning for property located at 3413 John Mallet Drive at the southern corner of Ashton Avenue and John Mallet Drive. It's .42 acres. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Move to defer to the January meeting.
All right, so there's a motion to defer the public hearing until the first meeting in January Properly seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Again, it's a motion to defer this public hearing until the first meeting in January. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion is adopted. Again, for those of you who are here on BL 2019-69, the public hearing has been deferred to the first meeting in January. BL 2019-70 by Councilmember Young. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from R10 to MUL zoning for property located at 125 Liberty Lane, approximately 650 feet northwest of Gallatin Pike. It's 1.46 acres. Councilmember Young, you're recognized.
Let's open the public hearing, please.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. Show of hands of those who are here in support of the measure. All right, thank you. A show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Seeing nobody in opposition, those in favor wish to speak? No, declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Young, you're recognized.
Move for approval.
Got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. We're now on page 6 of our calendar, BL 2019-71 by Councilmember Toombs. This is an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from R10 to RM9 zoning for property located at 3220 Lincoln Avenue at the northwest corner of Hill Street and Lincoln Avenue. It's 0.23 acres. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Move to withdraw.
Okay, Councilmember Toombs moves to withdraw 2019-71. Properly seconded. Any discussion on the withdrawal motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. BL 2019-71 is withdrawn. BL 2019-72 by Councilmember Young. An ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from CS, R10, and RS20 to SP zoning for properties located at Gallatin Pike unnumbered, 320 Conair Drive and 110 1 Mile Parkway at the southeast corner of Apple Valley Road and Conair Drive. It's 21.81 acres to permit 442 multifamily residential units. Councilmember Young, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Open the public hearing, please.
Declare the public hearing open. I want to see a show of hands of those who are here in support of the measure. All right, thank you. A show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Okay, you got people on both sides. Those in favor wish to speak. If you would, please come forward. You would name, address, and you will have 2 minutes in which to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Andrew Walters with Catalyst Design Group, 5100 Tennessee Avenue in Nashville. Just briefly mention that this is a development for multifamily affordable workforce housing at approximately 20 units per acre. Site is located just west of Gallatin Pike, beyond the railroad, basically right across from Lowe's on 1 Mile Parkway. So familiar with that is. It's a very good location for multifamily. It's close to the urban corridor there, close to bus transit. Want to thank Councilmember Young. He attended our community meeting we had on September 24th. It was actually probably one of his first acts as a council member. We had about 8 to 10 folks there. Some concerns that were raised, and we actually worked hard and worked back with planning staff to address those. The two that were brought up in the meeting were introduction of some sort of park or a public park, catty corner to the intersection, or on our corner of the intersection of Conair and Apple Valley Drive. So we actually went back with planning, reserved about an acre for a public park that is now part of the plan, adopted as an SP. Second thing was conversation about speeding that goes on Apple Valley and maybe the introduction of a four-way stop sign. We've been working with our traffic engineer and Public Works, and that looks like it has support from Public Works staff at this point. So that'll be part of our final plan, is to introduce a four-way stop. So we did listen to the concerns of the neighborhood. I think they're here tonight, so they can share those as well. Overall, the plan meets planning policy objectives for the area and was supported by staff at Planning Commission. It passed the Planning Commission, and we would ask for your support tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of the measure? All right, anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the measure? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition, if you will come forward, that's right, form a line, name, address, and you will have 2 minutes in which to speak.
My name is Cassandra Williams, and I live at 1349 Apple Valley Road. I do not approve of 442 units of anything across the street from me that would directly be in front of my home. I moved there to get in a neighborhood, not part of an apartment complex. The traffic coming through there, in and out, is going to be inconvenient. It already is inconvenient because of the traffic coming from Gallatin Road. But if you put that many people in that small area, that's total chaos. Then you have to worry about the lighting, the noise. All of that is too much traffic. I don't like the traffic. We don't want traffic going back and forth in that neighborhood. I live there, and those 8 or 9 people that was at that meeting were not the people on Apple Valley Road.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Brian Quarles, and I live at 253 Con Air Drive, directly across from the proposed site that they want to put the 442 residential units. I am in opposition of the 442 residential units because, as my neighbor has stated, it's going to cause a traffic problem. If you're coming up Gallatin Road by Lowe's, there's a backlog there. You bring that many units, you're going to bring double the amount of cars. And it's a quiet neighborhood. What we have there are family homes and duplexes. We're not opposed to the property being built, but we would prefer that they would build single-family homes because persons who purchase homes will take care of them. They want to charge $1,000 a month for rent for the apartment, but would make better sense to put homes there and invest in a home for $1,000 worth of mortgage. So that is why we're opposed to having those apartments there. And they were saying in the Planning Commission that Nashville's growing and booming, but at some point it's going to plateau. And those units will end up getting emptied. And we don't want to see a slumlord environment because the neighborhood is nice. So that is why I'm in opposition. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Vanessa Quarles, and I live at 253 Con Air Drive. And I did a little research on Madison. And what I found was Madison is a unique town in Nashville because of its easy accessibility via several major roads and interstates. The population in Madison in 2010 was 37,316. The total number of households was 15,829. Average household income was 49,000. Most people owned half acre of land. It's considered as a small town community, and that's what we would like to keep. I believe that preserving the community and local identity is very important, and that's what it stated online, and I believe that as well. Madison is known for a community that is quiet, calm, full of beauty and mature trees and family homes with big yards. As a young couple, my husband and I, we love driving through Madison, going to Rivergate Mall, and during the wintertime and Christmas, we like to look at the lights because the houses will be decorated. We love looking at the beautiful houses and big yards and wish that one day that we could afford to live there with our family. A little over 10 years ago, our dream came true. It was a miracle because it was rare that we saw a house for sale in the Madison area because most people that lived there did not move. They stayed. People had no reason to move. The houses were ranch style, and as the couples got older, they were able to stay in their homes because they didn't have to worry about going up and down the stairs. They just remodeled their homes and left their homes for their children. 10 years from now, where do you see all of those people, the single dwellers in the downtown community? They're going to have to go somewhere. They need a home. They're going to start families. And when they start their families, they're going to want a house. Madison is the place.
All right. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council. My name is Donald Coffey. I'm a resident at 616 Monticello Court, Madison, Tennessee. I'm here to address a safety concern about that area. I've been there since 1999. My safety concern is that little small area town it's already congested And even though it has a little small amount of area where there is some conservation there that they want to develop, I am partially inclined for some development there, but not all those apartments and condominiums. I think that'll be way too many people moving in that small area. Now, the safety concerns, we got about 5 dead-end roads right there. And each one of those dead-end roads got a safety hazard consideration. If you come in from Gallatin Road, you have the L&N train bridge right there. At that end of that road, you have the electrical tower that ends 1 Mile Parkway. If you come in from Graycroft ends, that's the end of the road, coming from Cornerstone Church all the way to the end, as Graycroft ends. If you look, running parallel, you have my street, Monticello Court, that's a court. If you see Apple Valley, that's a court. It ends right there at the L&N train station. If you came over there through Lowe's, right there at Con Air cuts off. If you look at West Monticello, it cuts off. So you have a safety hazard right there. You have the Dry Creek Bridge. You have all these different safety hazards. If you build that up, I don't know where these people are going to go. It's going to be pretty congested over there. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Angela Smith. I live at 1010 North Graycroft Avenue. As everyone has stated, North Graycroft is kind of the main vein, if you will, of the neighborhood. And I have concerns because not only is this development popping up, but there are others in the area. To me, it's upsetting because I purchased my house about 18 years ago because of the acreage. And I'm sorry, but it's upsetting to see all these developers sweeping in. Wildlife is everywhere. You're ducking and dodging them. I'm concerned about the traffic. It's just very disheartening to me to work so hard. I'm concerned about the road being widened and half of my yard being taken because in addition to their development, Coursey Farms is being developed and some others, also Due West area is being developed. And people already use our neighborhood as a cut through. So it's not just neighborhood traffic in that area. I myself have already been rear-ended on the road beside Lowe's. I was just sitting there waiting for the light to change and a young girl rear-ended me many years ago. So I'm not sure what their plans are with the traffic because there's nowhere for all these vehicles to go. So I'm just kind of concerned. I'm all for growth, I'm all for development, but for me to work so hard to keep up with the house, I'm not married. You know, when you're single, it's hard to keep up with the house, working 2 jobs, and to have the developers come in, clear the land, and build all these apartments, to me, it's just a little bit frustrating.
All right, thank you. Nobody else in the queue. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Young, you're recognized.
Move for approval.
So I got a motion to approve. We're on BL 2019-72, properly seconded. Councilmember Young, any other comments? Okay, Councilmember Hager, you're recognized. Get your button pushed. Well, all right. It was on there for about 20 minutes. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Just a brief question. I don't know the area, and so obviously it's Councilman's district. But I'm accustomed to when there's that many people in dissent, just knowing whether they've been heard and their objections have been noted, or you're still working on it. Just some sort of signposting about what we should expect for next reading.
Councilmember Young.
Thank you. So what wasn't mentioned is the proximity to Gallatin Road. And so I think that's an important aspect to consider as far as the congestion. There has been a community meeting. I've had several email exchanges with constituents about it. The iteration of the plan before you denied is not the first. And I think that's where we're at, and that this is a good product and what's come out of that dialogue.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Councilmember Young. Any other questions? Seeing none, we are, Councilmember Vercher, you're recognized.
I want to be recorded as abstaining.
Okay. So we will go on the board. Anybody else in the queue? Seeing none. Oh, Councilmember Van Rees, you're recognized.
Yeah, I feel like it was important to step up because the last lady was my constituent. This is literally within walking distance of my home. The Lowe's that is on 1 Mile Parkway is in District 8. This is a piece of property that had been cleared even prior to being sold. The folks that are putting this together are the LDG development that also worked on Buffalo Trails, the 808 at Skyline, and other apartments near Nosy College of Art. When the property became available for sale, I encouraged them to speak with the new council member to put together some form of good product. I am excited about the 1 acre of public park space. I'm also very well aware, it's like if I'm going to get on this 56 to take the BRT light on Gallatin Pike, I'm walking there from my house to here. This product is built for affordable and workforce housing. These are going to be good neighbors, good jobs, and honestly, will probably keep the Lowe's open. And so it's important for us to do that. I also am very well aware of the difference between District 10 and District 8 in regard to housing types. And the properties that were aforementioned are going to be single-family homes there on East Campbell and over on Chadwell. And so I think that we're going to be able to get together a really good quality of mixed income, mixed types, and as Councilmember Young said, this is literally, I mean, a short. It would take me longer to walk to the Metro Council offices than it would be to the bus stop from this apartment complex. And so I think that's important to keep in mind. I heard from constituents in District 8 as well, and during this process, we were able to speak on these issues. The reason that there's a park on that corner is because they were heard. And with that, I offer my support to this as a neighbor in the area.
All right. Thank you, Council Member. Anybody else in the queue? All right. Councilmember Rosenberg reminds me that we don't have to go on the board because we have one abstention under the new rules. So we can actually do this by voice vote. Anybody else wishing to speak on this matter? All right. Seeing none, we are on Councilmember Porterfield.
I would like to be recorded as abstaining, please.
Okay, so that means we have 2 abstentions. So Councilmember Porterfield and who is the other one? So Councilmember Vercher. Okay. Councilmember Welsh, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I, too, would like to be recorded as abstaining.
All right, so we have 3 abstentions. Councilmember Lee, we got a, so do I have discretion?
Yes, you can go to the board.
All right, so Councilmember Rosenberg, I'm using my discretion. I'm going to go on the board, all right? I will follow the rules, and I'm good. All right, so because there's so many people who are actually abstaining, I think it is proper to go onto the board. So, Madam Clerk, you ready? Can you open up the machines? Yes. All right, so we are voting on BL 2019-72 by Councilmember Young. Madam Clerk, open up the machines. Everybody voted who wanted to vote? think we got everybody. Madam Clerk, close the machines, take the vote.
26 in favor, 3 against, 8 abstentions.
All right, so with 26 votes, this bill, BL 2019-72, passes on second reading. All right, so again, remember, this is just second reading. There's a third reading. Next bill is BL 2019-73 by Councilmember Toombs. Ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws by changing from IWD to MUG zoning for property located at 261 French Landing Drive, approximately 540 feet east of Vantage Way. It's 3.06 acres. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'd like to open up the public hearing.
Okay, declare the public hearing open. I'd like to see a show of hands of those who are here in favor of the measure. All right, thank you. Show of hands of those who are here in opposition to the measure. Seeing nobody in opposition, those in favor wish to speak. All right, thank you. Declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Toombs, you're recognized.
Move for approval.
Got a motion to approve. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill? We're on BL 2019-73. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, that completes all the bills on public hearing. We are now ready to take up the consent agenda resolutions. And I believe, Councilmember Hurt, I'm going to double check. I believe one measure was bumped off of the consent agenda. Councilmember Hurt, can you tell me which one that was? Which one is it? 128. 128, does that look right? Just double checking with Councilmember Hurt. Okay. All right, Councilmember Van Rees, do I have the right bill? It's 128, is that right? Resolution 128, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember. All right, so for purposes of the consent agenda, every resolution on here is on the consent agenda with the exception of Resolution RS 2019-128. That measure will be bumped and will be taken up separately. Anything else that needs to be taken off the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, then I'm going to read through all the other measures. Every measure, again, except for RS 2019-128 is on the consent agenda. First resolution up is RS 2019-100 by Councilmember Mendez and Hancock. Initial resolution determining to issue general obligation bonds of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $1 million. Resolution RS 2019-116 by Councilmembers Mendez and Hancock. Resolution affirming the authority of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to issue general obligation bonds pursuant to that certain initial resolution previously adopted by the Metropolitan Council and consenting to particular allocations for specific public works projects. Resolution RS 2019-117 by Councilmembers Mendez, Hurt, and others. A resolution approving a contract by and between Prevent Child Abuse Tennessee and the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health, to provide funding to employ a program coordinator for the Collective Impact Initiative. Resolution RS 2019-118 by Hurt and Welsh. Resolution approving a contract between the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health and Vanderbilt University to provide experience opportunities to Vanderbilt University School of Medicine students. Resolution RS 2019-119 by Councilmember Mendez. Resolution authorizing the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Tracy Harding and Clinton Harding against the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County in the amount of $137,000, said amount to be paid out of the Self-Insured Liability Fund. Resolution RS 2019-120 by Mendez, Pulley, and Hancock. Resolution accepting a grant from the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department for enhanced DUI enforcement of Tennessee driving under the influence laws. Resolution RS 2019-121 by Mendez, Henderson, and others. Resolution approving an application for a flood mitigation assistance grant from the state of Tennessee, Tennessee Emergency Management Agency, to the Metropolitan Government acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Water and Sewerage Services Department for Flood Mitigation on Resolution RS 2019-122, Mendes, Henderson, and others. Resolution approving an application for a flood mitigation assistance grant from the state of Tennessee, Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Nashville Water and Sewerage Services Department for flood mitigation. Resolution RS 2019-123 by Cash, Murphy, and Henderson, a resolution authorizing Molly Green Hillsborough Village LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 1717 21st Avenue South. Resolution RS 2019-124 by O'Connell, Murphy, and Henderson, a resolution authorizing Co-working Investors LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 501 Union Street. Resolution RS 2019-125 by Hancock, Syracuse, and others. Resolution honoring the life of Carlisle Beasley Jr. Resolution RS 2019-126 by Councilmember O'Connell. Resolution recognizing Oasis Center, Inc. upon the occasion of its 50th anniversary. Resolution RS 2019-127 by Councilmember Syracuse. Resolution requesting the Tennessee General Assembly to reintroduce the Main Street Historic Tourism Revitalization Act, House Bill 1063, Senate Bill 1053, and for the Davidson County delegation to the Tennessee General Assembly to co-sponsor the legislation. And Resolution RS 2019-129 by Withers, Evans, and others. Resolution recognizing 2020 as the year of STEM in Nashville. Those are the resolutions on the consent agenda. Anything that needs to be bumped? Then we are ready for committee reports. Councilmember Mendes, I'm going to go to you for Budget and Finance.
For the consent agenda, the Budget and Finance Committee considered resolutions 2019-100, 116, 117, 119, 120, 121, and 122, and all of those were recommended for approval, 11 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized for Health and Hospitals.
Thank you, Mr. President. Health, Hospitals, and Social Services voted 4 in favor and 0 against for resolutions 117, 118, and they voted 5 and 0 against for Bills 74, Bill 75, and that's the report.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Henderson, do you have the Planning and Zoning? All right, Councilmember Henderson, you're recognized for Planning and Zoning.
Vice Mayor, Council Lady Stiles has the Planning Committee.
Councilmember Stiles has the thing. Okay. Councilmember Stiles, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And we passed with consent on Resolution 2019-123, 124, 14 in favor, 0 against for both.
That's it. Thank you, Councilmember Stiles. Public Safety, Councilmember Pulley.
Public Safety, Beer, and Regulated Beverages Committee voted for RS 2019-120. Approval, 4 in favor, 0 against.
Okay, and what about 115? Do you have that one? Oh, I'm sorry. That's
No.
on my list. You don't have that one. That was on before. I got it. That one's already been given. All right, thank you. Councilmember Henderson, Public Works.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Public Works Committee considered resolutions 121, 122, 123, and 124. 121 and 122 were recommended for approval, 8 in favor, 0 against. And 123 and 124 were also recommended for approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Henderson. Councilmember Rosenberg, you've got rules and confirmations.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rules voted 7 in favor, none against on 125 and 127 and 128. And rules voted 6 in favor, none against on 126 and 129. And move approval of the consent agenda.
All right, I got a motion to approve the resolutions on the consent agenda, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you. And now we're back on the one resolution that was bumped off the consent agenda. It's Resolution RS 2019-128 by Van Reese, Withers, and others. Resolution recognizing December 1st, 2019 as World AIDS Day in Nashville. Councilmember Van Reese, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. Committee reports for 128, please.
Councilmember Rosenberg, rules and confirmations.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't realize that was off consent for some reason.
That's right.
Rules voted 7 in favor, none against.
All right. Back to you, Councilmember Van Reese.
Yes, sir. I appreciate everyone's indulgence on pulling this off consent. I wanted to address a couple of different things that were outlined in the resolution that was very well written by our Metro Public Health Department. There are more than 4,000 residents in Davidson County living with HIV at this time. Another estimated 720 folks living in Davidson County are living with HIV and are unaware. The Metro public sites all offer free testing all the time, so feel free to make sure and do that. I wanted to acknowledge Mayor Cooper lighting the courthouse and the bridge red on World AIDS Day. I want to thank him for that. And for the mighty work of our folks at Nashville Cares and with Streetworks that work on this every day, in addition to, over 120 stakeholders in this city that work on this. And the PrEP, the pre-exposure medication that prevents exposure to HIV, is now available at all the Metro Public Health Departments. It is the first health department in the state of Tennessee to have a clinic dedicated to offering this medication. All of this is in this resolution, and I wanted to bring attention to it. But I also wanted just to, with your indulgence, just pause for a moment to remember all those that we have lost to AIDS in the United States and around the world. Thank you again, and I move approval.
All right, so we have a motion to approve. It's Resolution RS 2019-128, properly seconded. Any further discussion? Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
I would just like to thank Councilmember Van Reese for those remarks, and also note that we did some important work as a city last year that is unfinished. We did a considerable amount of planning about how we can mitigate the HIV and AIDS epidemic as it has impacted Nashville, where we have rates greater than the state and federal level, and we should do that work. So I think it's important that this body understand that, and that we actually press forward this term to ensure that the planning work that was begun last year actually gets executed. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Council Member. Anybody else? Nobody else in the queue? We're on Resolution RS 2019-128. Again, proper motion, properly seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you, Councilmember Van Reese. All right, so we are now on bills on introduction and first reading. I don't believe anything needs to be bumped. If there's no objection, we'll consider all ordinance on first reading in one vote at this time. Is there a motion to adopt the bills on introduction and first reading? Proper motion, proper second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of all bills on introduction and first reading say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Thank you. All right, we're now on bills on second reading. This is on page 12 of your calendar. BL 2019-35 by Council Members Taylor and Murphy. Ordinance to amend the Geographic Information System Street and Alley Centerline Layer for the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by abandoning alley number 377 right-of-way and easement. I'm going to go to Council Member Taylor. You're recognized.
Committee reports, please.
Committee reports. Planning and zoning. I think it's Council Member Stiles has got that.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And yes, we recommended, it was 14 in favor and 0 against.
All right. Thank you, Council Member. Public Works, Council Member Henderson.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. We recommended approval as substituted. 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. And Councilmember O'Connell, you recognize for traffic and parking.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had BL 2019-35. We recommended 5 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Councilmember Taylor.
Move for approval.
All right, so you got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Do you have a substitute on this?
Do. Yes.
All right.
So move the substitute.
Okay, so there's a motion on the substitute, properly seconded. Back to you for the substitute explanation, or I can refer to Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper?
It just retains the easements for Metro.
Okay, so that's the explanation of the substitute. I got a motion to approve the substitute. It can properly second it. Any discussion about the substitute? Seeing none, all those in favor of the substitute say aye. Opposed, no. Substitute is passed. Councilmember Taylor, you're back on your bill as substitute. I just need a motion to approve on second.
Motion to approve.
I got a motion to approve on second as substituted, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right. BL 2019-46 by Council Members Mendez, Syracuse, and others. Ordinance amending chapters 15.32 and 15.44 of the Metropolitan Code to require the Department of Water and Sewer Services to submit annual reports to the Metropolitan Council. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
The committee reports for Budget and Finance are that substitute was recommended for approval, 11 in favor, 0 against, and the bill as substituted recommended for approval, 11 in favor, 0 against. And I'm not sure whether there's another committee report.
I'm looking, it says it was approved by Public Works. Did they come back to you, Councilmember Henderson? It doesn't look like it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Councilmember Mendez, you're on your bill as substitute.
Well, I'd like to.
Oh, you want to move the substitute?
Yeah, I'll move the substitute.
All right. So I got a motion on the substitute, properly seconded. Back to you for an explanation of the substitute.
Sure. This is the bill that would give us, as a council, more oversight and visibility into Metro Water. The bill already required an annual written report that covered the financials, budget review, and any other information that was relevant to the finances of the water department. And this substitute would add, in addition to that, Mr. Glover's suggestion, which was the committee thought was a good one, would add a semi-annual additional written report about how the implementation of the new water rates was going, and that would last semi-annually for 2 years. And it needed to be a substitute because it wasn't really covered by the caption. So that's what the substitute does.
All right. You've heard an explanation of the substitute. Proper motion on the substitute, properly seconded. Any other discussion on the substitute? Seeing none, we're voting on the substitute. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Substitute's adopted. You're back on your bill as substituted.
Move the bill as substituted.
So the motion is to approve the bill as substituted. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt BL 2019-46 as substituted. BL 2019-74 by Council Members Bradford and Toombs. Ordinance amending Chapter 2.144 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to require the Metropolitan Social Services Commission to submit an annual plan to Council regarding the Metropolitan Government's cold weather response plan for Nashville's homeless population. Councilmember Bradford, you are recognized. Where are you? There you are.
Committee reports, please.
All right. Looks like that went to Health and Hospitals. Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Wanted to indicate that the Health, Hospitals, and Social Services voted for the bill 2019-74, 5 in favor and 0 against. But we also wanted to commend the council members, Bradford and Toombs, for presenting this legislation forward. As our Vice Mayor said, I think they're on the right track. But also wanted to commend Councilman Freddie O'Connor for sharing with us the strategic plan that that has been put together for the Homelessness Planning Council strategic plan. And it has some things in place already, some recommendations of an emergency weather committee for the Homelessness Planning Council, which I think is also in line with what has already been offered through this legislation. So I think we're on the right track, and we certainly appreciate this council being compassionate and taking care of this homeless community.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Bradford, back to you.
Move for approval.
Okay, got a motion to approve on second reading, properly seconded. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. The reason I put a letter and additional materials on colleagues' desks tonight was mainly because we dealt with this quite a bit last term, and I want to be very careful to avoid the sensation that there is nothing being done, that we don't have people that are committed to this, both in Metro, in the community. The Homeless Impact Division within Metro Social Services has an incredibly talented staff with huge hearts that go out and do difficult work every day. Metro Social Services as a department follows that at a higher level, and they have been at the forefront of coordinating what has been very difficult work to do through multiple seasons of cold weather. I began this work more than 4 years ago, working on what was then the Homelessness Commission, the Homelessness Planning Council that is now in effect, that is combined with our local continuum of care, did have an emergency weather committee. That committee recommended, as we now know, that Metro actually lean on our existing ecosystem of nonprofits, because we know we have a barriers problem, not a beds problem. Cold weather is very difficult. The population of people experiencing homelessness has a different set of needs than a lot of the rest of the community at large. There are security circumstances that must be overcome, criminal records in some cases that must be overcome, decisions about whether or not to allow pets, to allow couples, to what you do with families with children or independent minors. All of these things must be dealt with, and in some cases they must be dealt with on an ad hoc basis. The truth of the matter is Metro does not right now today own a facility that is perfect for emergency sheltering. We could build one. If we built one, that would be money we weren't spending on building housing for people experiencing homelessness, which we already don't do. My hope would be that we would allocate enough money in the proposed permanent supportive housing project to allow for at least some amount of emergency sheltering. We need to continue the conversation that's already underway with our two major emergency shelter providers, Room in the Inn and the Rescue Mission, to continue to reduce barriers during periods of extreme cold weather. I would remind everybody, including the community at large, again, that the cold weather community response plan has been in effect for years, and while not perfect, it has a lot of stakeholders. Some people do canvassing. I would invite everybody in this room to go out on a cold weather canvas to get a much closer and more in-depth exposure to these issues, and you will find that some people actually, you invite them in and they prefer to stay where they are. This is one of the most challenging issues we deal with, but most of the issues dealt with in this bill are not a surprise. They are issues that people are working on year-round, that they have actually put a lot of planning energy into, a lot of implementation energy into, and I really am sensitive to the idea that this is news to folks. I would also invite people to come to a meeting of the Homelessness Planning Council at a first available opportunity. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Taylor, you're recognized.
Vice Mayor, I would like to go on record as abstaining from this vote.
Okay, so Councilmember Taylor is going to abstain. Anybody else in the queue? Okay, so we are voting on, it's BL 2019-74, again by Council Members Bradford and Toombs. We want to make sure that Councilmember Taylor abstains. Anybody else in the queue? Seeing none, we're voting on the bill on second reading. All those in favor of the bill say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. All right, we are now on BL 2019-75 by Councilmember Rosenberg and Toombs. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 2.30 of the Metropolitan Code to require 911 telecommunications to be trained in the delivery of high-quality communicators to be trained in the delivery of high-quality telecommunicator cardiopulmonary resuscitation (TCPR). Councilmember Rosenberg, you're recognized on BL 2019-75.
Thank you, Mr. President. Committee reports, please.
All right, Councilmember Mendez, Budget and Finance.
At the request of the sponsor, recommended deferral, 11 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Hart. Health and Hospitals.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The Health, Hospitals, and Social Services Committee also, at the request of the sponsor, approved a deferral 5-4 and 0 against.
All right, thank you, Council Member. Councilmember Johnston, Public Safety.
Public Safety as well voted to defer one meeting, 4 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you, Council Member. Councilmember Rosenberg, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we can work on a mandatory language. I'd like to move to defer one meeting, please.
Okay, the motion is to defer one meeting, properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the deferral motion say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. Ready? So now you can just keep going when you do the consent agenda. And then Henderson has water bill, so you can go back and sit down.
We are on Bill 2019-76. I believe Councilmember Henderson we will be taking that one. This is an ordinance amending sections 2.62.040 and 12.56.060 of the Metropolitan Code to require parking and emergency access plans for parades and special events located outside of the downtown area. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Committee reports, please.
Yes. Councilmember Johnston, Public Safety, Beer, and Regulated Beverages. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's right. I just got to click.
Public Safety voted to defer 2 meetings at the request of the sponsor.
Back to Councilmember Henderson for Public Works.
Thank you. The Public Works Committee also deferred 2 meetings at the request of lead sponsor, Councillady Murphy. 10 in favor, 0 against. And with those committee reports, I would move to defer 2 meetings, please.
Motion is to defer 2 meetings, properly seconded. Nobody else in the queue. All in favor of a 2-meeting deferral? Against? And motion passes. On to BL 2019-77, Mendez, Welsh, and others. An ordinance amending chapters 5.04 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws to require disclosure of full cost itemizations prior to submission of capital expenditure authorization legislation to the Metropolitan Council. Councilmember Mendez.
Budget and Finance Committee recommended approval, 11 in favor, 0 against, and with that, I'd move for approval on second reading.
I have a motion, properly seconded. I have Councilmember Glover in the queue.
Just very quickly, Mr. Pro Tem. First of all, Councilman Mendez, thanks, and to the other sponsors on this bill. I think that as we're walking through the process of where we are financially in the city of Nashville, it's important to understand that this body is trying to bring much more transparency with the cooperation of the mayor's office, something that hasn't really happened in the past. And so as we're moving through the next several weeks and the next several months, I think that this will be a good tool for us going forward, so there's not misinterpretation of how money is being proposed and how it ultimately would be spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Glover. Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm interested in this one because I know that there have been, so let me say, up front, I totally appreciate the move to transparency here. My one concern is in looking at some of the projects that either are considered on tonight's agenda or have been considered in bringing this bill forward. I look at, in thinking about some things that have happened in District 19 where private funding at variable levels has come online as part of public-private partnerships going forward for things that had itemization and capital spending plans. I just want to be absolutely sure that this bill does not have the unfortunate side effect of limiting or slowing public investment when otherwise we would know that we had the appropriate amount of transparency and diligence. So I don't know if the sponsor can speak to that, if Metro Finance can speak to that, if the administration in any way could speak to that. So take, for instance, either Capitol View Park, which is now Frankie Pierce Park, which we just opened, and which involves some investment from the nearby property owners, or the DCSO headquarters. If this bill had been in effect at the beginning of last term, could either of those projects have been initiated with capital dollars from Metro?
Councilman Mendez.
I'll be happy to take that. So that, what Councilman O'Connell talks about is a legitimate concern, and there was back and forth between me and Finance about making sure that it wasn't too restrictive. Taking the DC, the Sheriff's Department headquarters project, for example, it would have been able to go forward, but we would have had to have been given the real number. Now, some of the protections we tried to put in here to make sure that we didn't tip the pendulum too far the other way is that there's an express exclusion for planning and feasibility reports. And so if it had been, for example, that, gee, even though construction was imminently about to start on the sheriff's headquarters, that just nobody knew what the price was, then this would have required it that some amount of planning and feasibility money could have been allocated to figure out what the dollar amount was, and then it would have had to come back in another capital spending plan for the actual amount. And it's not lost on me that there's no question that we're doing a correction for whatever reasons, without assigning blame. Half of us who are in this room were here last term, so I guess we get some of the blame too. For whatever reasons, there are more than one projects that have been approved for capital spending by this body with dollar amounts that turn out now to have not been real, have been plug numbers, not even really good faith estimates, just plug numbers. And so we're correcting for that. And the concern about overcorrecting is real. But I think this hits the balance because there's the exclusion of $5 million and there's an exclusion for planning and feasibility that ought to be able to balance it.
I thank the sponsor for that. I guess, I look at items that I have in the capital improvements budget right now, some of which I'd love to see go forward this term. And some of those are in District 19. Some of those are just great municipal projects. And I think my one concern is that we find ourselves unable to proceed with capital investment as a result of potential overcorrection here. So I just think it's something for us to be mindful of if this bill passes.
Thank you, Councilmember. Nobody else in the queue? I believe we have a first and a second. Anybody else? All in favor? Against? Motion passes. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2019-80, Hauser, Mendez, and others. An ordinance authorizing the granting of 2 permanent easements to Harpeth Valley Utilities District of Davidson and Williamson Counties, Tennessee, on certain property owned by the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County. Councilmember Hauser.
Yes, thank you. I ask for the committee reports, please.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Mendez, Budget and Finance.
Budget and Finance recommended approval, 11 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Hager, Parks, Library, and Arts.
Passed 7-4, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Stiles, Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
14 in favor and 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. And Councilmember Henderson for Public Works.
We recommended approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you. Back to Councilmember Hauser.
Thank you. I ask for approval.
We have a motion properly seconded. Seeing nobody in the queue, all in favor? Against? Motion passes. BL 2019-81, Withers, Murphy, and Henderson, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public sanitary sewer main and easements and to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, fire hydrant assembly, and easements for properties located at 1111 Gallatin Avenue and 1100B Greenwood Avenue. Councilmember Withers.
Thank you, Mr. Syracuse. Could I get the committee reports, please?
Go to Councilmember Stiles for Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
Thank you, Pro Tem. The Planning Commission voted 14 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Henderson, Public Works.
Public Works Committee recommended approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Back to Councilmember Withers.
Thank you. I would like to move approval with a brief comment.
Floor is yours. I have a motion.
All right. Councilmember Allen, during one of the committee meetings, asked a really great question about when utility easements are done and how that sort of works for Metro. And just wanted to highlight briefly for this particular project, this is the Hill Center Greenwood specific plan. It bridges Districts 5 and District 6. It will include a very large amount of public infrastructure at private expense. It will include all new sidewalks around the entire site on both sides that meet new public standard. It will include new storm drains. It will include a new bus shelter. It will include a new traffic signal with a signalized crosswalk to get across Gallatin, and we know how much we need that. It is slated to include 104 trees. And what is most exciting to most of my neighbors is that we finally have confirmation that it will include a Publix. But for all that, I think I would like to thank Mr. Granberry for H.G. Hill. The last time we had a public grocery store proposal, Mike Jameson was the council member at that time, but we have all stuck with it, and we are, it's been a little while, but we finally have it done, and I look forward to Mr. Jameson coming over and shopping at our Publix anytime. So,
Thank you.
And with that, I renew my motion to approve.
Thank you, Councilmember. It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion passes. BL 2019-82, Hager, Murphy, and Henderson. An ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public water main and to accept new water main for 5 properties located on Hermitage Street and Center Street. Councilmember Hager.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Stiles for Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
Thank you, Pro Tem. The Planning Committee voted 14 in favor and 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Henderson, Public Works.
Public Works recommends approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Back to Councilman Henger.
Move for passage, please.
I got a motion, properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? Motion passes. BL 2019-83, Hancock, Murphy, and Henderson. An ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept a new public sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 3 properties located at 1020C Old Hickory Boulevard unnumbered, and New Providence Pass unnumbered. Council Member Hancock.
Move for approval.
We need some committee reports here.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Can we please refer this to Planning, Zoning, and Historic Committee report?
You bet. Councilmember Stiles for Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
Yes, the committee voted in favor, 14 in favor and 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Henderson for Public Works.
We recommend approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Back to Councilmember Hancock.
Move for approval, please.
I have a motion properly seconded. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor? Against? Motion passes. Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2019-84, Hancock, Murphy, and Henderson. An ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for the 3 properties located at 1020C Old Hickory Boulevard and New Providence Pass unnumbered.
And a little bit of deja vu. Committee reports, please.
Very good. Councilmember Stiles, Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
Thank you. Yes, the committee voted 14 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Henderson, Public Works.
Recommend approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Back to Councilmember Hancock.
Move for approval, please.
I have a motion, properly seconded. No one else in the queue. All in favor? Against? And motion passes. BL 2019-85, Murphy and Henderson. An ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for property located at 4119 Murfreesboro Pike. I believe Councilmember Henderson, are you taking this one for Councilmember Murphy?
Sure. Committee reports, please.
Why don't you go ahead and give us the Public Works Committee?
Okay, thank you. Sorry. We recommended approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
I'm going a little out of order. Councilmember Stiles, Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
Yes, the committee voted to defer 1 meeting, 14-4, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Back to Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Pro Tem. I believe Planning recommended deferral. Is that correct, Ms. Stiles? For lack of a district sponsor present, but with the Public Works Committee having approved, I would move approval.
I believe by rule, this has to be deferred, since one committee deferred, right, for one meeting? Yes. So by rule, this is going to be deferred 1 meeting. Do I have to?
Okay,
right.
I would move a deferral of 1 meeting, please.
Very good. Properly motion, seconded. All in favor for a 1 meeting deferral? Against? Thank you, Councilmember. BL 2019, don't sit down, Councilmember Henderson. BL 2019-86, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing easement rights for the property located at 4901 Centennial Boulevard between 49th Avenue North and Louisiana Avenue. Councilmember Henderson.
Okay, I'm requesting committee reports and also giving the Public Works Committee report, recommending approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Stiles, Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
Yes, the committee voted to defer for one meeting, 14 in favor and 0 against.
I believe that would also mean a one meeting deferral.
Okay, I move a one meeting deferral, please.
All in favor of one meeting deferral? Against? And it is deferred by one meeting. All right, BL 2019-87. No. Murphy and Henderson, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing public water main and easements and to accept new water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assembly, sanitary sewer manhole, and easements for property located at 2420 Stivers Street. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Requesting committee reports. The Public Works Committee recommended approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
Councilmember Stiles, Planning, Zoning, and Historic.
More deja vu. The Planning Committee voted in favor, 14 for deferral for one meeting and 0 against.
So by rule, this will be deferred by one meeting. I got a motion.
Move a one meeting deferral, please.
I got a motion and properly second. No one else in the queue. All in favor of a one meeting deferral? Against? It is deferred one meeting. We have another deja vu here. 2019-88, Murphy and Henderson, an ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to accept new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for 3 properties located at 3810 and 3825 Whites Creek Pike and Whites Creek Pike unnumbered. Councilmember Henderson.
All right, requesting committee reports and giving the Public Works Committee report, recommending approval, 10 in favor, 0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Stiles, Planning, Zoning, Historic.
The committee passed this bill, 14 in favor, 0 against.
Very good. Back to Councilmember Henderson.
I would move approval, please.
I have a motion, and it's properly seconded. Nobody else in the queue. All in favor? Against? Motion passes. BL 2019-94, Councilman O'Connell. An ordinance to provide for the designation of public property within specified areas of downtown Nashville as a temporary special event zone during the time period beginning at 9:00 p.m. on December 30th, 2019, and ending at 6:00 a.m. on January 1st, 2020, relative to the use of these areas in conjunction with the 2019 New Year's Eve celebration and related activities and events. Councilmember Henderson. I'm sorry, Councilmember O'Connell.
I mean, I'm happy to yield my time, but I think I'd like to move approval of a brief comment.
The floor is yours. I have a motion. It's properly seconded. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just, I'd like to ask colleagues to be mindful of the fact that I was sued by deja vu last term and maybe find another term to use, a turn of phrase that would be more appropriate just as we go forward. So thank you. I'd like to renew my motion.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Allen, do you want to be recognized on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There may be another bill that comes up later when I can more appropriately ask this question, but if not, I'd like to try it now. From a funding perspective, will we be paying for the public works and police overtime and other extra expenses out of money from the tourist development zone dollars or convention center funding?
Let's get the administration to perhaps weigh in on that.
Anybody at the administration table want to? Did you hear the question? Councilmember Allen, do you want to repeat the question?
I heard it.
You did. Thank you.
I'm not sure what was done last year, but for all intents and purposes, we can assume that it will be covered out of the general fund operating dollars for police overtime, EMS, fire overtime, those type expenses.
And Councilmember Allen, my recollection is that we had, sort of a contribution made to that expense from the CVC directly, but it was not attached to the creation of this special event zone specifically.
All right. Renew your motion.
I do. I don't know. Councilmember Allen, does that satisfy you, at least temporarily?
It provides the information I asked.
There you go. Thank you.
All right. I have a Councilmember Glover. You want to be recognized on this?
Just very quickly, Mr. Pro Tem, and I'm going to go back over here to the administration table, please. I think that this is one of the areas, though, that the mayor and the staff is looking into as far as funding down the road. I don't know that really got answered, but I believe that is a topic of conversation, correct?
Correct. There are different funds that could potentially be utilized for expenses such as this. In particular, the downtown CBID 0.25% additional fee on retail sales downtown is one possible venue. So the administration is exploring all options exactly like that for special events such as this kind.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilman Glover. Councilmember Henderson, were you seeking recognition on this? That answered your question. Very good. Seeing nobody else in the queue, all in favor of BL 2019-94? Against? And motion passes. Thank you, Councilman O'Connell. That concludes bills on second reading. We are now on bills on third reading. BL 2019-6, Henderson and Parker, an ordinance to amend Title 17 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws regarding the waiting period revocation of a short-term rental property permit. Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Committee reports, please.
Codes, Fairs, and Farmers Market. Who's getting that one? Councilmember Sledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. Codes, Fair and Farmers Market voted to approve the proposed substitute 7-4, none against with one abstention.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Stiles for Planning, Zoning, and Historic. Councilmember Stiles. This is a bills on third reading. We're on 2019-6. We're looking for a Planning, Zoning, and Historic Committee report.
So for the substitute, we approved the substitute, 13-4, 1 against.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right, back to Councilmember Henderson. Did you want to move your substitute?
Yes, please.
All right, very good. I have a motion for the substitute. It's properly seconded. Back to Councilmember Henderson. Any explanation of the substitute?
Yes, thank you. In response to some concerns regarding the time frame on a renewal permit, this substitute has, for those who are operating a short-term rental without a permit at all ever, that remains at a one-year waiting period, and the renewal is at a 6-month waiting period. And so that is the primary change for the substitute. And then if I may, I would like to describe the bill as substituted.
Sure. Did you want to move the substitute?
Yes, please.
It is properly seconded.
Yeah, that's just an explanation of the substitute.
Sure. All in favor of the substitute? Any against? All right, you're on your bill as substituted. Do you want to?
Okay. Well, I think we've discussed this in planning and codes at length, but I would move the bill as substitute, please.
Thank you, Councilmember. We have a motion properly seconded. Councilmember Johnson?
I'd just like the record to reflect that I'm abstaining from this vote.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Suara?
Thank you. One of the issues that was addressed by most of the people that have problem against it is the lateness by codes to get to people that are trying to. So I think I want the sponsor to speak to whether there is a grace period for people to renew, because a lot of people are worried that they may not get the renewal in time and then they fall into not having the permit. So is this something that is addressed, or can the sponsor just speak to that? Because I got a lot of us got emails about people that are trying to renew, didn't get the letter in time, 30, 60 days, and they're worried that they may have to wait 6 months or 9 months.
Councilmember Henderson, do you want to?
I'm happy to speak to that, yes. We apologize. Councilor Johnson was speaking to me there just for a second. I got a little off track. Every renewing permit is sent a courtesy notice, and there is a 30-day grace period for everyone. And so the question did come up in committee based on some anecdotal concerns about not receiving that. Metro is sending that reminder to the address for the permitted, the applicant has provided. And there was some suggestion around certified mail or something to that effect, but Metro does not send anything certified mail. Cost concern, and additionally, once you do that, then people just choose not to pick it up. So that, I think, responded to concerns of Councilor Benedict as far as the folks receiving it. It is a business, and so, folks do have that 30-day grace period, and it's up to them to remember to renew.
So my follow-up is there were some cases of where people have perceived proof of them actually submitting or sending it. So will there be a situation to deal with those on a case-by-case basis? That if somebody can actually show they send it to code, that they don't get penalized?
Correct. Those can be dealt on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Suara. Councilmember Benedict?
So I'm not sure why my button's missing, but thank you, Pro Tem. I think that this is, I appreciate what the sponsor has done in making some changes to this too, but I do think that this does need some work still. And I'm not a fan of expanding short-term rental properties into residential neighborhoods, and I do think that we need to continue to find ways to eliminate the bad actors. But I think that this is not so much focused on the bad actors as it is on every short-term rental property. And I think this actually is probably aimed at hurting the little guy instead of the big guy. So sorry, let me get back to my note there. You know, I think that business owners and property managers are as they operate their business, they know when these permits are coming up for renewal. Our teachers, our middle-income folks who are looking to either rent out their own home that they occupy or they have a non-owner-occupied unit already, they're not the ones that they're much more likely to miss that renewal notice or not receive it in the mail, as some have said, although I know we send it out. So I think that this really is aimed at folks that, you know, unintentionally that we're not trying to get to. So I do think until we can determine where the notices are sent, if it's to the homeowner or to the property itself, I think that that's one item that needs to be answered. And then I also think that, you know, with the limited resources that our codes department has, I just don't think that it would be feasible for us to ask them to send these via certified mail. I would like to see if there was a way down the pike that we could set up an email notification for these. I think, again, limited resources with our IT department, that probably can't be done right now. And I just think that there's a better way that we can figure this out than an automatic fixed 12-month waiting period. So in committee, I mentioned that when my car tags expire, I run the risk of getting a financial penalty, and if I continue to drive, and if I, let my driver's license lapse, I have the same situation. If I continue to drive, I will face a penalty. I feel like in this particular case, I would much rather see us focus on implementing a fee or a penalty of some sort rather than actually revoking the license for 12 months. So in this current form, and again, I appreciate that the sponsor has made some adjustments to the original bill, but in its current form, I cannot support this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Benedict. Councilmember Hauser.
Yes, I do appreciate the adjustment to 6 months if you already have a permit. But I'd like to say, I put on my calendar when my dog is supposed to have the next heart medicine. Every month, it's on my calendar. And that isn't even my business. That's just part of life. If you have a short-term rental, it is a business, whether it's Johnny's room while he's in college or it's the apartment downstairs. And I really think that, if you run a business of any sort, you put that on your calendar. Whether you get a reminder or not, hey, that's coming up. If I want to make any money off of this, I renew it. And so I really don't have a lot of sympathy for folks saying, gee, I forgot. It is an income source. You put it on your calendar. You put it on your phone, sticky on your door, whatever it takes. But you don't just expect to be hand-fed. It's time to renew your permit. So I really don't have a lot of sympathy for folks who say, gee golly, I didn't know it was time to renew my permit.
Thank you, Councilmember Hauser. Councilmember Cash.
Yeah, I wasn't on the council last term, but I was at several public hearings on the short-term rental issue, and I remember at that podium, short-term rental owner after short-term rental owner and their supporters saying that this business model could work, that all we need to do was have good rules and enforce those rules, And I think that's exactly what this bill does. I don't think they're bad apples, those who don't renew their permits, but they're not playing by the rules. And the folks that supported short-term rentals said we just need to enforce those rules and go after those who don't follow them. I think this bill does that. I am supportive.
Thank you, Councilmember Cash. Councilmember Gamble.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. I would like to say I am a business owner, and contrary to what some of the things that have been said, there's a lot going on to owning a business. There are a lot of things in addition to managing your home life and everything else. So it's not unfeasible to know that somebody might not get a notice or someone might forget to renew. And even with my business license, if I don't renew it, I'm not automatically kicked off, not able to have my business. They give you time to renew the business license, whether you have to pay a fine or something of that nature. But I agree that for those who are operating without a license at all, the 1-year suspension is very appropriate. However, those who have had a permit and for whatever reason, death in the family, who knows? They missed a notice. They only get one notice in the mail. They missed it. And then they're subject to not having this income that they rely on. So I think we need to look at other avenues. In all other business sectors, you are not automatically kicked off for not renewing your business license. So we need to look at other measures to address this instead of just having those who have gone through the rules and had their permit and for whatever reason didn't renew it in time, to have another recourse to do that in a timely manner without automatically being suspended.
Thank you, Councilmember Gamble. Councilmember Welsh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pro Tem. I am in support of this bill. I actually think it's a little bit lenient. I agree with Councilmember Hauser that this is a business and we have an expectation that business owners are going to be doing what they need to do to maintain their business. You do get a notice in the mail. You have a 30-day grace period to do it. You also have a sign on the wall in your business that tells you the date that your permit expires. It's right there in front of you. I don't think it's asking too much that we have short-term rental owners follow those rules. In terms of STR, people who have had trouble with codes, getting their permits renewed for whatever reason or their paperwork is lost, we could implement a time-stamped receipt system so that they can prove that my permit application was in on time and they would not be subject to this penalty. But I think, as Councilmember Cash said, we have a system that I think is fair and enforceable, and we should do it. And I think it, on something like short-term rentals that have such an impact on this city, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask people to follow the rules and to be mindful and cognizant of what they need to be doing to keep in good standing.
Thank you, Councilmember Welsh. Councilmember Porterfield.
Thank you so much, Pro Tem. I agree that someone who has an STR needs to be responsible and they need to make sure that they are renewing on time. I think that that's a reasonable expectation. My concern is the emails that we've received from people that are saying that they followed all the rules, they did what they were supposed to do, however, there was still a lapse. One email in particular, and I won't read the details of the email, but it shows that the recipient turned everything into codes on June the 26th. On September 17th, they discovered that codes did not renew the permit, and on October the 8th, they finally found out that it was renewed, and this was for something that was submitted in June. They had to have a conversation with codes 8 times between September and October, explaining that they had turned everything in. So I think that we know that we have limited codes enforcers, so this is not a knock on codes by any means. We know that we have a limited amount of people that are working to enforce this to the best of their ability. I do think that we need to figure out a better system to make sure that people who are turning in the information on time are not being penalized. So I appreciate Councilwoman Henderson for her work and her passion. I think that this is a very complex issue. It's an issue that is plaguing people all across the country. As we found out, for those of us that went to NLC, people all over the country are struggling with STRs, and they're struggling with the best way to implement this. So at this time, I will have to vote no, because I don't think that we have a good way for our codes department to enforce what's happening, unless the councilwoman would be willing to defer it, to give us more time to work with codes to come up with a better system so that people are not being penalized who have played by the rules.
Thank you, Councilmember Porterfield. Councilmember Young?
Previous question.
I have a motion for previous question. All in favor? Aye. Against? Motion stands. So we are now on the bill as substituted. Councilmember Henderson, do you want to? Oh, we should go on the board. We should go on the board on this one. That's right. I guess I should run down and do that.
Okay, we're on BL 2019-6. The previous question was called, so we are on the machine. Madam Clerk, you ready?
One moment, Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor, point of clarification.
You can get a point of clarification. That's it, because we're previous
Understood.
question's been called.
So colleagues are voting on calling the previous question, and if
No, so the previous question has been called and it was voted on, so we're on the board.
okay, so we are on.
We're on the bill as substituted.
Okay, so I cannot respond to
You can't,
colleagues'
yeah, it's,
concerns?
yeah, so the previous question's called, so all discussion, all debate is cut off, and we're on the board. Okay, so we're voting on substitute BL 2019-6, bill as substituted by Councilmember Henderson. The machines are ready. Madam Clerk, if you would, open up the machines. Is anything happening out there?
No, sir, sorry.
Okay. Councilmember Hurt's machine is not working. Madam Clerk, just leave the machines open.
Yes, sir.
It's not going to work? All right, Councilmember Hurt, right now. That's a little strange, but I guess we can do it. I got a point of order for Councilmember Glover.
Would it be possible for her to write it on a piece of paper and hand it that way it's revealed at the same time this is done?
Well, I think that's what we were trying to debate, is how the best way to do this. So, Councilmember Hurt, I think the best way to do that, since the machines are open, is for you to write it on a ballot and then give it to, you can give it to Slade, and he'll bring it up to the clerk's office, and we'll reveal it at the same time that we do the other vote.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, that's it. We're on the vote, so we can't talk about it anymore. Period. Oh, forever? So make sure that Councilmember Hurt's vote never works. Oh, is it working? Okay, Councilmember Hurt, we're waiting for you. All right. Madam Clerk, all the votes are in. If you would close the machines, take the vote.
26 in favor, 8 against, 4 abstentions.
All right, with 26 votes, BL 2019-6 as substitute passes on third reading. Thank you, Slade. Thank you, Councilmember Hurt. All right. All right, we are now on BL 2019-31 as amended. Councilmember Murphy, Stiles, Henderson. Ordinance amending Metropolitan Code Chapter 16.04 to require a fence permit for all permanent fences to be constructed within Nashville and Davidson County. Councilmember Stiles, you're recognized on this bill.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And so we are going to defer one meeting. Codes and Water have asked for that deferment. And there are FEMA regulations that have come to light that need to be addressed so that we're in compliance and we don't want to rush this through legislation.
What does it matter? Okay. So the motion is to defer one meeting. This is BL 2019-31. Motion. Right. Okay. So the motion is to defer. Properly seconded. Any discussion on the bill? On the, on the deferral motion. Seeing none, we're on a deferral motion, BL 2019-31 as amended. All those in favor of the deferral say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt the motion to defer. Thank you, Councilmember Stiles. BL 2019-42, Councilmembers Mendez and Henderson. Ordinance amending Section 2.24.225 of the Metropolitan Code regarding appraisal reports for the sale, purchase, lease, sublease, or other disposition of real property owned by the Metropolitan government. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
All committee reports are in. I move approval.
Got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? This is on third reading, BL 2019-42. Nobody in the queue. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt on third reading. Bill 2019-43 as amended. Councilmembers Mendez, Toombs, and others. An ordinance to amend Chapter 5.04 of the Metropolitan Code to require certain financial communications from the state of Tennessee to be submitted to the Metropolitan Council. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized. Councilmember Mendez.
I'm sorry.
We're on 2019-43 as amended.
All right, so I guess there's one committee report.
There is a Personnel Committee report. Councilmember Roberts, you're recognized for Personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Personnel voted 5 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
With all committee reports in, move approval.
Okay, I got a motion to approve. This is 2019-43 as amended, properly seconded. Councilmember Glover, you're recognized.
Just very quickly, Vice Mayor. Again, I think everyone watching are paying attention to where we've been in the city. Here's another opportunity to bring greater transparency, to make sure that this body is informed whenever we have issues that are occurring. And frankly, you know, Councilman Mendez has been kind of the lead on writing and getting these pieces out there, but this is going to be helpful for all of us as we go forward. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Glover. Anybody else? Seeing none, we're on BL 2019-43 as amended. Again, it was properly moved and properly seconded. This is on third reading. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2019-44 by Council Members Hurt and Welsh. Ordinance amending Metropolitan Code Chapter 10.16 to modernize the existing ordinance and authorize the Director of Health to initiate disease control measures for any reportable communicable disease as defined by the Tennessee Department of Health or any notifiable infectious disease as defined by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move for approval.
Got a motion to approve on third reading, properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt on third reading. BL 2019-45 as amended. Council members Mendez, Henderson, and others. Ordinance amending sections 15.20.030, 045, 110, 15.32.010, 1532.020, 15.36020, 15.36030, 15.36040, 15.44010, 15.44020, 15.48220, 15.48300, and 15.52.040 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
Thank you. So Budget and Finance considered the unnumbered late filed amendment and voted recommended against approval 6 against, 3 in favor, and recommended the bill, the original bill for approval, 10 in favor, 0 against, and I think it also went back to Public Works Committee.
All right, I'm going to Public Works. Councilmember Henderson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public Works Committee recommended approval. We did not consider any amendments. 9 in favor, 0 against.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Henderson. Back to you, Councilmember Mendez.
So I'll move approval, and then I don't know whether anybody wants to move any of the amendments.
All right, so I got a motion to approve. This is 2019-45 as amended on third, properly seconded. Back to you. I've got Councilmember Glover in the queue, and he's the one with the late filed amendment. So do you have any other comments before I go to Councilmember Glover?
Just for the public watching, this is the water rate bill. Okay. It's been talked about extensively, Budget and Finance a couple different times. The Comptroller's Office talked about it. It's been covered in the media. We either approve these rates or the state orders us to do it anyway. So I'll leave it at that and wait to see what happens with the amendment.
All right, so Councilmember Mendez has moved BL 2019-45 as amended, again, properly seconded. Councilmember Glover, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yes, I'd like to suspend the rules to move my amendment, please, sir.
Okay, so Councilmember Glover has an amendment that he would like to consider. It's late filed, so in order to consider it, we would have to suspend the rules. Just briefly, I think for purposes of the viewing audience and the council member, can you just briefly explain what the amendment does, and then we'll see if there's objection.
So Director Cooper and I, and specifically Director Cooper, have been trying to talk to the bond counsel. And unfortunately, that conversation didn't take place until yesterday after 9 a.m., which was the deadline for the amendments. I had 2 in here in case we thought both of those would have covered the language we heard. However, it didn't, and so we had to introduce a late filed amendment. And I did meet with, and I'll ask for the committee report from rules on this, but that was the purpose. It wasn't because we weren't trying to properly notice, but just timing didn't work out with the holidays.
Okay, Councilman Rosenberg, Rules Committee on a late filed amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. The sponsor appeared before rules, and the committee did not have an objection to suspending the rules. All
right, thank you, Council Member. All right, so we have a late filed amendment on BL 2019-45 by Council Member Glover. Is there objection to consideration of the late filed amendment? So there are 2 hands up, so we cannot consider it. Thank you, Council Member Glover. All right, so Council Member Mendez, we're back to you on a motion to approve.
I don't have anything else to add other than what we've talked about before, so renew the motion to approve.
All right, so the motion is to approve. Councilmember Glover, you're recognized.
Okay, the one thing that, and this will be on the bill, but yesterday, I mean, we had a long discussion. Frankly, I would have liked to have seen the other, but that's okay. We are where we are. But one issue that was not brought up yesterday, and I'll take part of the blame or however we want to do it, was and I don't believe we've had the conversation on what this could possibly do once this is passed to pilot payments out there. Specifically, I think and I'm going to look to the administration on this to maybe help us understand, because we didn't have in-depth conversations, and I'm afraid that we read the headline tomorrow that we pass it and all of a sudden now there's greater payments or there's unintended things that we were not aware of. So as we're talking it through, I don't know, Mr. Jameson or Ms. Wilson, I don't know which one of you would like to, but if you could give us an overview of what this could potentially do with the pilot program, with all of the work that will be done by the Water Department.
Ms. Wilson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Councilmember. Sure. Pilots or payments in lieu of taxes are essentially assessed values on the asset value itself. And so when the administration reviewed this study, we asked the department to make sure that this was included, and we were assured by the department it was. And so essentially the asset value, as it increases, as the capital expenditures occur, we will be able to make sure that the tax assessments against the enterprise fund for the benefit of the general fund will also be accrued too.
Okay, do you have any estimate right now of about what kind of money that may be?
Sure. In the short term, it probably translates to something about an incremental $10 million annually. That would be on top of the pilot that exists today.
Okay. I think that hopefully clears a little bit up, but I don't remember, and if that conversation was had, I apologize. I don't remember us having that particular conversation. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I don't want anyone dropping donuts or anything, so I don't want to belabor the point here. If someone could just briefly, just for the viewing audience, just give us a brief synopsis of what this rate increase is on both water and sewer and the monetary amount that it's going to generate.
So I'm looking to see who wants to do that. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
I'll address that first, and there might be more details that the administration can add. So just to set the table, and I appreciate the question from Councilmember Vercher, because I think it is important that the public understand it. The fundamental complaint that we heard from the Water Department in October when this term started was that over the course of the last several years, political considerations have gotten in the way of doing what the objectively right thing is to properly fund the Water Department. And as a result, the Water Department was losing money 2016, 2017, 2018, and had been placed on a distressed Water Department list by the state of Tennessee. And the state of Tennessee issued an order, like literally a document with a lawsuit sort of caption that said ordering a rate study, and they were going to order new fees. And so instead of the political considerations that have apparently been going on for a few years, the rate study went through objectively, compared to other water departments around the country, and set rates that will stabilize the department and put it in a position where this doesn't happen again heading forward. And so the exact rates, there's a website up for the Water Department, and the new revenue that's going to be generated is going to be adequate to fund the department's long-term capital needs and make sure the city can live up to its obligations under a consent order to the Environmental Protection Agency. At this point, not only the Water Department, which I think it would be fair for us to wonder whether we can trust the numbers out of there, in addition to the Water Department, we've got the State Comptroller's Office saying that this is the properly set rates. And so if the question is about getting into exact dollar amounts, I might have to defer to the administration, but it's all up on a website with the Water Department, and the key thing is that it moves us out of politically set rates or politically inspired delays to setting rates into something that is sustainable on a long-term basis going forward.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vercher, other questions?
We didn't receive the amounts. I think for the viewing audience, I think that's a critical detail.
All right. So, Mr. Cooper.
So the new rates for the first year implementation, the water and sewer rate increase should generate an additional $33 million per year for the department, and the capacity charges would generate an additional $14 million for the department in the first year.
Councilmember Vercher.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And I just want to be on the record of saying to my constituents, I know many of you received your bills, and there was a small blurb on your bill about the proposed water rate and sewer rate change. Due to the fast tracking of this, I wasn't able to get a meeting for you guys and to have Metro Water come out and explain the impact that it's actually going to have on your respective households. So this will be passed tonight, and after the new year, we'll get a community meeting as it relates to this, so everyone can fully understand where we are as a city.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Gamble.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarification, the surcharge on this amendment is just for 2 years? It expires after 2 years?
The amendment is not considered.
Yeah, the amendment's not being considered.
Okay.
You have another. Okay.
Thank you. That's my question.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Hurt, you're recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I don't really have a question, but, you know, I just feel some kind of way tonight because when the comptroller was here, he basically said that we had not done our job as a council. And when it came to the water, we did not know information. Information was not given to us for us to adequately make a decision that would have been acceptable. And that concerns me. So for me to make a decision tonight when I'm not sure if it is going to, if I have all the information and constituents are looking to us to serve as leaders and providing them with the kind of information that they need in order for them to be knowledgeable of things, it just gives me some unrest. And I just wanted to make that notation because, you know, I take my job here seriously, and I really want to be the very best that I can for the constituency. And without me being fully educated and knowledgeable of things, and then for me to be told that I've not done a good job, really does concern me.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Young, you're recognized.
Previous question.
Okay, so the previous question has been called. We're on the previous question, not on the bill. So all those in favor of the previous question say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Previous question prevails. We are on the bill. All right, so we're going to try this by voice vote. We are on BL 2019-45 as amended. All those in favor of the bill on third reading, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Bill passes. BL 2019-45 as amended passes on third reading. We're now on BL 2019-51 by Council Members Mendez, Roberts, and others. An ordinance approving the transfer of the franchise rights by Access Fiber Group, Inc. to Crown Castle Fiber, LLC. Councilmember Mendez, you're recognized.
All committee reports are in. Move approval.
Okay, I got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt 51 on third reading. BL 2019-52, Roberts, Murphy, and others. All committee reports are in. An ordinance to amend the Geographic Information System Street and Alley Centerline layer for the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County by changing the name of a portion of Spencer Avenue to Foundry Drive. Councilmember Roberts, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. In honor of Council Lady Van Reese, I like to change names of streets as much as possible. I'd like to move for approval.
So I got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2019-53, Syracuse, Mendez, and others. Ordinance authorizing the acquisition of certain right-of-way easements, drainage easements, temporary construction easements, and property rights by negotiation or condemnation for use in public projects of the Metropolitan Government, initially for purposes of the Public Works Department project number 2018-R-009, Lebanon Pike Sidewalk Improvements. Councilmember Syracuse, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All committee reports in. I move approval.
Got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2019-54 by Councilmember O'Connell, Murphy, and Henderson. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing easement rights for former alley number 140 and a half, former alley 141 and a half, and former alley 142 located at 629, 635, 7th Avenue South. Councilmember O'Connell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've got a substitute that actually abandons platform 9 3/4 as well. I'd like to get that moved. In second thought, I'll just move the bill as it is.
Okay, you can always move that other substitute at some other time and maybe in another dimension. So we got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2019-55 by Councilmember Murphy and Henderson, ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County to abandon existing sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manhole, and easements for property located at 5001 Charlotte Avenue. Councilmember Henderson, you're recognized.
With all committee reports in, I would move approval, please.
Got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2019-56 by Councilmember Syracuse, Murphy, and Henderson. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to abandon existing sanitary sewer main, sanitary and sewer manholes, and easements, and to accept new public water and sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, fire hydrant assemblies, and easements for 54 properties located at Donaldson Hills Drive, Lebanon Pike, and Mill Creek Meadow Drive. Councilmember Syracuse, you are recognized.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All committee reports in. I move approval.
Motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. BL 2019-57 by Councilmember Sledge, Murphy, and others. Ordinance authorizing the Metropolitan Government to abandon existing public water and sanitary sewer mains and easements to raise existing sanitary sewer manhole rims and to accept new water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assemblies, sanitary sewer manholes, and easements for property located at 1501 Hillside Avenue. Councilmember Sledge, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Move approval.
Got a motion to approve, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You adopt. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Got a motion to adjourn, properly seconded. We stand adjourned. Don't turn that thing off.
And so the Metro Council has concluded about a 3-hour business meeting tonight on a 16-page agenda. The number one item passed tonight on third and final reading just a few moments ago, a unanimous vote without dissent to approve on third and final reading a multi-year water and sewer bill that would raise rates for the first time in about 9 years in the community. There were a lot of financial problems within the state had come to Metro and basically said, we need to get this taken care of, or the state might take over the system. Some council members felt like they kind of got bushwhacked on that. They had not gotten information from the state about this in the past because it had not been passed down, they said, by previous administrations. The council is passing legislation to try to fix that going forward in the future. But for right now, the new ordinance will take effect pretty much by the end of the year. There'll be 3 to 4% rate increases each year from now until the year 2024. There was an effort to try to put an additional 5% surcharge on that, but the bill, that amendment was defeated first in Budget and Finance Committee, and then it was also not filed properly, so it was not able to be considered by the full council. But it will go now to new Mayor John Cooper for his signature. This will be, I guess, the first major victory for the mayor and the new council, although, frankly, I think most of the council members would have told you the city didn't have a whole lot of choice about approving it one way or the other. Council approved several other bills tonight on second and third reading that would give them more oversight on a number of things. First, a bill on second reading that in the future, if they get any critical information about the way cities doing something from the state, they want it passed on to them. Also, another second reading bill that if they have they want more complete information about property appraisals for real property that Metro purchases or owns or lease in the future, so they're dealing with real information. A similar bill was passed on second reading tonight that would do the same thing for capital projects. There's a feeling that in some cases what's been approved by the council for capital projects has not been real numbers, and they want to try to make sure that doesn't happen again in the future by passing this bill. They also want an annual financial report, annual report from the Water Department. But also they want to contain and get this information on a semi-annual basis about how the new water rates are working and whether it is indeed helping the city improve not only its system but also the financial situation it's in. Council also, and again in an area of oversight, they asked now for the Social Services Commission to submit to the council an annual plan about how we're going to handle with the cold weather months and the shelter for the homeless community. That was a problem this year, getting them done, finding them, making sure the plan was in place, and that there was money involved for doing that. The council wants to get in to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. Council also approved tonight for the first time a former mayor to serve on a city board and commission. These are volunteer positions. No one gets paid for doing this. Mayor Bill Purcell will serve on the Metropolitan Development and Housing Agency. He's the second appointment that Mayor John Cooper has had to put on the board for a pretty short period of time. He has some different ideas about how he'd like to see the agency approach things like affordable housing, and just giving him 2 appointments on that board this quickly will probably give him a chance to move forward on that as well. Council also approved tonight its permanent rules to operate. They've been looking at those for a while. A few tweaks in how long people can speak tonight to the council when they're speaking on zoning matters, or how many minutes a council member can speak in behalf of a bill. It's usually somewhere about 2. Had been 3 minutes, now it's down to about 2 minutes. One other thing that did come up was not part of the rules tonight, but is something to watch. There's some talk among council members about changing the makeup and maybe some of the naming of some of the council committees, which have been around for a number of years. I feel like they need to modernize that. with no actual details about what they've got in mind. I would say if they decide to make those changes between now and the end of this council term, which is still well over 3 years away, there'd have to be 27 votes to do that. Adopting the rules takes 21 votes. To change the rules will take 27 votes, or 2/3 tonight. The council also, in its work tonight, approved reallocating $18 million that previous councils had approved for a pedestrian walkway that got to be quite controversial. It was going to go between the Scobey area and the Gulch. Mayor John Cooper wanted to use that for other infrastructure projects that will go over several different council areas, for traffic calming, for bikeways, to buy trash carts, and also to install streetlights. The council approved that. It took 2 different resolutions to do it. They put one in just for $1 million to reallocate. The council wanted to act on both of them at the same time, and they did that tonight to take care of that. The council also had 4 pages of zoning, and that's often something that slows down the meeting, certainly in areas where there was opposition from people in the community. Council members tended to, if not pass the bill tonight, then defer it so they could work out some more things in the community going forward. In a couple of cases where that didn't seem to be coming from the council members, we did see some deferrals, or some abstentions, I should say, on the vote tonight. That's a little unusual. Usually district councilmen have pretty much life or death authority over zoning in their area. I don't know if this is the beginning of a trend, but it's one to watch to see if these deferral ideas to sort of nudge council members in the district to maybe do more to reach out to those who are looking to, in opposition to this, to try to find a way from some common ground. I'd not seen that happen before. It's one to look for in the future. The council is now in recess until its second meeting in the month of December. It'll be its last meeting of calendar year 2019. It'll be on December 17th. We'll be here at that time to provide live coverage. Until then, good night from the council chambers.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.